Good morning and welcome to the April 28th San Mateo County Board of Supervisors meeting. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Pine. Here. Supervisor Horsley. Here. Supervisor Slocum. Here. Supervisor Tissier. Here. Supervisor Groom. President Groom.
President, thank you. This is the time for public comment now to address an item that's not on this meeting agenda or is listed on the consent calendar. Thank you. Martin Fox.
My fellow veterans, Supervisor Slocum and Mr. Malpe, and County Council Mr. Byers, thank you for your service to the county. Thank you, Supervisor Pine, for letting your fellow supervisors know that you observed a few people living with mental illness on the streets of our county who are so paranoid that they regularly refuse services and do not understand that they attract the very crime they erroneously believe they are avoiding when you accompany the HOT team in South San Francisco. Thank you, Supervisor Horsley, for letting your fellow supervisors know that you found that there are a few people living with mental illness who are so treatment resistant and non-compliant that at least one of them was admitted to our psychiatric emergency room over 70 times and several others were admitted over 40 times. Thank you, Mr. Malpe, for letting the members of the Community Corrections Partnership know that you found better outcomes will be produced by implementing Laura's Law than those produced by policies and procedures which limit treatment to persons living with mental illness who volunteer for it. Laura's Law is a compassionate, cost-effective civil proceeding that provides treatment to those persons living with serious mental illness who are incapable of giving informed consent to treatment due to the nature of their illness. Laura's Law restores the civil rights of persons living with serious mental illness by freeing them from the dangerous revolving door cycle of mental hospitals and jails, as well as having to dance with death on the street. San Diego's Board of Supervisors voted to implement Laura's Law last Tuesday. Please bring new hope to the family members of persons living with serious mental illness in San Mateo County and join San Diego, Los Angeles, Orange, Contra Costa, Placer, Mendocino, Yolo, and Nevada counties, and even the city and county of San Francisco by voting to fully implement Laura's Law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Jim Stansberry.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Jim Stansberry. I'm the Director of Project 90, a drug and alcohol program within San Mateo County. I've come to kind of raise the awareness of the situation that both residential drug programs are in and Project 90 in specific. In the last 4 years, are having 100 beds. I want to get to the basic. 100 beds 4 years ago, we have 37 now. Even though in the last 2 years, there's been incidents of where more people are needing treatment, more people are showing up for treatment, and to kind of go off of Mr. Fox's, the thing of people being willing and ready to have treatment, but treatment not being available because of funding is a real disservice to addicts and alcoholics. I've brought some materials which I hope you'll accept, though I don't have time to go through everything here, but just to kind of outline some of the things that have happened in the last few years. I don't know if you can get through them. I started with Project 90. It was the first men's recovery program 42 years ago. We had 8 beds. In the succession of time, at least according to the newspaper, we got up to 225 beds. That's been severely cut in the last 3 or 4 years. We've kind of kicked the can down with affordable care, but what's happened in the meantime, we're having less and less services to people who need the services. Right now, the outlook doesn't look good even going forward. I've shut down 2 facilities. I'm in the process of getting rid of additional ones just because the funding isn't there. Once those facilities are gone, they're not going to be as easy to replace or bring back. And just the amount of facilities and the number of beds and people that we're able to serve hasn't gone somewhere else. It's not a case of we're competing. I'll just mention I've got about 10 other speakers here willing to speak, and also those that, if you would allow, would surrender time to me.
Thank you, Mr. Stansberry. If anybody has a speaker card and they wish to speak, please speak. We really don't add and accumulate time to other cards.
Madam President, just a note that about 3 weeks ago, I asked my staff and the staff of behavioral health to do a complete assessment of the status of the number of beds available in the county and the funding that has become difficult as we've tried to get a number of the providers certified through the state, and there's an extreme delay in what we can do to try to remove some of those bottlenecks and protect some of the beds that are in danger of being lost, among other things, simply due to decisions that landlords are making regarding their property.
Thank you, Mr. Maltby. Rebecca Johnson. Rebecca Johnson. Ken Rolander.
Good morning. I'm here representing Project 90.
Say your name, please.
My name is Rebecca Johnston.
Oh.
My son is a client of Project 90. And if it wasn't for Project 90, my son wouldn't be here. So I encourage you to facilitate more funding for this project. I go there often, and I see a lot of these men in recovery who in the beginning I saw they were hopeless, but now I see them as I go to meetings hopeful. So my son today is thriving because of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Ken Pulland? Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Supervisors. I am also here on behalf of Project 90. I went through the program. I started in January 28th of 2013. Where my drinking got me as an alcoholic was to seizures, blackouts, ambulance rides to emergency rooms, psychiatric wards. I was a liar, a cheater, a thief, a manipulator. I got into Project 90 and took the suggestions and the directions that they gave me to help change my life. They gave me the opportunity to change my life for the better. Today, I'm once again a productive member of society. I have a full-time job. I pay rent. I pay my bills. If it wasn't for Project 90, and what we need to understand is that the alcohol, the drugs, is just but a symptom of the issues for alcoholics and addicts. It's the other stuff. It's all the stuff that's here. It's the holes in our hearts and in our spirituality. And that's what Project 90 gives people back. Gives them back their dignity. Anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Polandi. Michael Spalding? Michael Spalding.
Hi, my name's Michael Sparling. I'm also representing Project 90. Without the help of Project 90, I'd be dead. Before I came into Project 90, I was in ICU for 2 weeks. They told my girlfriend to go home and pack her stuff and move because I would never be the same. If they didn't have the bedding to take me in at that time, I would be dead. I was a painting contractor when this happened, and I had 4 employees at the time, which through my alcoholism I lost. Now that after I've completed Project 90 and got back into society, I have 4 more employees, all of which are alcohol and drug free. And we all pay taxes and take care of everything, and we try to help Project 90 out as much as possible, but they need a lot more funding. Otherwise, people are going to die. I mean, we've all seen alcoholics on the streets. Let's try to get them off of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sparling. Dennis Alexander?
Good evening, or morning. My name's Dennis, and coming into Project 90, I was a hopeless drug addict. Right now, I'm a drugless hope addict. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Henry Perry?
Good morning, Supervisors. My name's Henry Perry, and I'm a client of Our Common Ground. In 2008, I was working for a AAA contract, and I was life flighted to Stanford with injuries. I became addicted to painkillers. I went through several rehabilitative surgeries, and without one of the recovery facilities, I'd probably still be living on the street, depending on the kindness of strangers. There's a saying that says we reap what we sow. If we take away the recovery facilities, then we don't sow the seeds of recovery in people that desperately need this service. Without the service, I'd still be on the street.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Paige Boswell?
Good morning. My name is Paige. I am 23 years old. Before coming to OCG, Our Common Ground, I was hopeless and broken from the 12 years I was in my addiction. What treatment has done for me is bring me back to my family and create stability in my life. I've gotten the therapy I need around my PTSD and trauma. I've been through a great deal of stuff, and if it wasn't for treatment, I'd still be out there. I am 9 months sober today, thanks to Our Common Ground and my desire to change. I am grateful to be alive and extremely grateful for the staff that have believed in me. A lot of the good things are coming my way. Before, my health had deteriorated, and I've been in my addiction since I was 11 years old, and I couldn't see a new life for myself. I didn't know what it felt like to be sober, but today I have friends in recovery. I have people that care about me, and if it wasn't for OCG, I'd still be out there destroying my health and my life. Thank you.
Ms. Boswell, thank you very much. Ronnie Osborne.
Hello, my name is Ronnie Osborne. I belong to Our Common Grounds. I'm a 60-year-old male. When I came to Our Common Grounds, I couldn't read or write. Being in jail doesn't do nothing but teach you to be a better criminal. Here, I'm learning how to be a man, how to be a father, how to. Now I can read. I did my first sermon at church last Monday night. I'm a good father to my kids now. I didn't know how to be a man. And here they deal with your behavior. They teach you how to be a man, how to stand up on your feet, how to do the right thing. and be responsible for all your actions. So if you take away our common grounds, you're taking away a lot. Don't let us fall through the cracks. You know, because jail just breed criminals. You don't want to do that. So please help other men and women be mothers and fathers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. David Mestis.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is David Mestis, and I'm a 48-year-old drug addict, and our common ground is where I'm currently a client. This place is teaching me new ways to live. Without it, I'd be on the streets. I came out of jail with nothing but the clothes on my back. I'm a father, biologically. I'm learning how to be a real father to my children. I've got 3 beautiful grandchildren that I also neglected in my life due to drugs. I say that I love them, but my actions showed that the only love I had was for myself and my drugs. But from being in our common ground for the past 4 months, I'm now part of my family. Each weekend I get to go out now and I get to spend time with my children, my grandchildren, and little by little they're trusting me because I'm becoming trustworthy and I am a decent human being without the drugs and my behavioral problems. I want these places to continue because I'm about halfway through. I need some place to come back to because this is where I'm learning how to live my life, and that's where I'm going to continue to come back to throughout the rest of my life. And if it's no longer there, I don't know what's going to happen to me. These programs are saving my life, and they're bringing me to be a productive member of society again. I thank you for your time this morning, and I hope you consider keeping the programs.
Thank you, Mr. Mestis. Jordan Rowe.
Good morning. My name is Jordan Rowe. I'm currently a client over at Our Common Ground here on behalf of them and all treatment facilities. This treatment center has done something for me that myself nor any others could ever done for me, and that's to give me a new life, a better life, a life worth living. I didn't know how to live. I mean, more than half my life I've been stuck in my addiction, and I haven't had my family in my life because I couldn't even be there for myself. And I strongly hope, pray, and encourage you guys to help fund these facilities more. It all starts with making a difference, changing the world, but we can't change the world till we start right here, and it all comes from our hearts. So I strongly encourage you guys to do this because I'm living proof that it works, you know. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Wangoi Kambuga.
Hi, my name is Wangoi Kambuga. I represent OCG. Most of my life I've been in my addiction. I'm 29 years old. And if it wasn't for our common ground, I would be homeless. I've been homeless on and off for years. And my life was very hopeless. And OCG has given me the opportunity to believe in myself and love me until I love myself. And I just want to see other people be able to receive that same opportunity because it is important to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kambuga. Eric Aguirre.
Good morning. My name is Eric Aguirre, and I'm here on behalf of Our Common Ground. I want to speak today about what the program has done for me and how I think this program can benefit people in the future. Before I came to Our Common Ground, I was a man of squandered opportunities, hopeless dreams, and my addiction led me to do things that I would never have done. I got an opportunity to enter a residential treatment facility, and since then I've become a new person. I've been able to reconnect with my family. I've been able to go back to school, and I can stand here to say that I'm proud to be who I am. What scares me is that in the future, programs such as these will not be available for people that need them. Much like Mr. Rowe, I'm living proof that the programs work, and I implore you today to find the funding for the programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguirre. Kimberly Giovanni.
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Giovannoni, and I am from Our Common Ground. I entered Our Common Ground April 7th, 2014, and Our Common Ground has offered to me clinical staff, which is not easy to find a rehab that offers those special services. I have learned about my mental disorders and how to live with them without substance or alcohol abuse. I have been offered a new way to live without substance abuse because of Our Common Ground. Our Common Ground has helped me to recognize my behaviors, being that I am bipolar and I have seizures and high anxiety. Our Common Ground helped me to live without substance abuse and to recognize the different behaviors that I would be going through with my bipolar mental issues. I am very grateful to Our Common Ground, and I hope that you would consider that the services they have to offer, and consider that we can keep Our Common Ground as a place of resource for rehabilitation. Thank you.
Thank you. Chapel Thorborn.
Morning. My name is Chappelle Thorborn, and I'm at OCG, Our Common Ground. And I have a drug problem and a behavior problem. Since I've been in this program, I'm working on my behavior and I'm working on my drug problem. And through the counselors at OCG, they unite me back with my 2-year-old daughter. And she's one of the most important things to me right now, to become a responsible father and a member of society. If you guys take these programs, people like me just in and out, in and out, in and out. It's time for change. And we asking for your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thorborn. Hillary Ammon.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Hillary Ammon, and I've been a ward of the state since I was 10 years old. I was born into addiction and have lost both of my parents to this disease at a very young age. An abusive relationship and an addiction to crack cocaine brought me back to the Bay Area for a fresh start and a new chance at life. At the end of my addiction, I was hopeless and lifeless, jobless and moneyless. Our Common Ground has given me a family, hope, inspiration, determination, drive, and is currently building me back up from the ground up. I just celebrated 6 months clean and sober, thanks to this program. I just want you to take the time today to think about where all the addicts would be if the programs closed in San Mateo, back in jails, dead, or homeless without a cause. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ammon. Juvenal Ibarra.
How you guys doing? How you guys doing, family? I'm here on behalf of OCG and the rest of the rehabilitation facilities. I'm here to speak about what it's done for me. And since being in OCG, what it helped me do, first and foremost, it helped me forgive myself. It taught me how to love myself as well as others. I'm 26 years old, and I've been locked away for about 8 years of my life. 7 or 8, and all it did was teach me how to get new trades on how to come out and rob the state as well as the government. Help me how to be a better thief, helped me how to have more anger against those who put me away. Since I've been in OCG, it rehabilitated my mind and gave me the tools to successfully succeed in life. Now I could be a good parent. I could communicate with my kids. I could speak well with others. It taught me how to get a job, how to speak in a interview. And I'm pretty sure that you guys will do the right thing. I'm pretty sure if you guys have enough money to build a new jail and enough millions to put new doors in the jail cell, that you guys do have enough money to help us and our families grow and succeed. It will make a difference in life, and trust me, the population will decrease in jail cells if you guys proceed to invest in these programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. Eric Anderson.
Good morning. My name is Eric Anthony Anderson, and I am speaking on behalf of Our Common Ground. I'm 25 years old, and I've been in handcuffs more times than you can count on both hands, all due to substance abuse. However, what Our Common Ground has taught me is to love and respect myself, to hold myself accountable, and I've gained control over my addictions. I would love to see any other individual have this opportunity. So if you would, please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Manuel Tenorio.
Good morning. My name is Manuel. I'm speaking on behalf of Our Common Ground. I just want to say thank you for letting us come talk. What Our Common Ground has done for me is taught me how to be a man, hold myself accountable for my actions, and when I'm wrong, I admit that I'm wrong, and want to find a new way to fix it. Just a short, brief thing is, I'm not here to talk about money. I'm here to talk about me and what it's done for me. My dad, I lost a relationship with my dad. I got kicked out when I was 14. Being at Our Common Ground brought my family back in my life. I'm 24 now. I've never seen that man cry once in my life. He cried and said he was proud of me for the first time. Not only has it helped me, but I learned what I wanted to do with my life. I want to go back to school. I'm going to take counselor classes. So when you're opening new beds, you're not just helping one person, you're helping one person to help a lot of others. That's what we do. We each one teach one. If it wasn't for this is my first treatment center, if it wasn't for this treatment center, I'd still be on the streets. I'd still be going back to jail. It's amazing what just 5 months can do with your life already. Completely turn around after 24 years of messing it up. So, yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tenorio. Todd Henderson. Followed by Dorian Washington.
Good morning, distinguished board members, members of our community. I stand before you today as a man with a deep concern. A concern that not only affects me, but affects those around me. As a resident of Our Common Ground drug treatment facility, I have concerns about its solvency and viability. I am a recovering alcoholic and sorely in need of intense drug treatment. I only humbly ask for your support to provide the necessary funding to keep our treatment center open. 4 months ago, I could not function. And today, that has all changed for the better. I only ask for your support and your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Dorian Washington, followed by Alan Cianci.
Hello and good morning to the Board of Supervisors and the public as well. My name is Dorian Lee Washington Sr. I stand before you as a representative of Our Common Ground. This treatment center has done wonders for me. I am in the approximate essence of 7 months of being a client there, and it has changed my configuration of my mind entirely. It is a behavioral modification program, and it has changed my behavior to be able to stand before you this morning and represent our common ground, whereas 7 months ago, I would not have given a root any care in the world to do so. I'm speaking for the people that are a resident of our common ground and other programs as well, and as well as those that are subject to come after the fact that I have gone. Treatment is very serious illness. It is a disease. It does not discriminate based on creed, color, religion, or social status. So therefore, everyone in this room is particularly possible to have a addict in their family as I speak. So recovery centers as of our common ground are very necessary in order to change that behavior so that it does not continue, and I shall not stand before you as a criminal, but a recovering addict. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Alan Cianci, followed by Benson Hernandez.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Alan Cianci, and I'd like to say good morning to Judge Slocum. I met you a lot of times in the past, and I'm proud to say that it's on a different angle now. I represent our common ground, but I'm speaking on behalf of all treatment facilities. I was just released from San Quentin Prison at the end of March, and I started recovery in 2013. Now I'm a resident at our common ground residential treatment facility. But what recovery and treatment has done for me is it's given me a stable living environment to safely focus and work on myself, my behaviors, and issues with addiction. It's helped me realize that I am not alone in struggling with these issues. It's helped educate me on health and safety, and it's brought my awareness up to the fact that I'm not only harming myself, but I'm harming my community. It's helped me to realize that I do have a share in this purpose, and my experience can help others in the community, and by giving back that's what community is all about. Funding is extremely important because it will enable more access to others like myself in seeking treatment and requiring treatment. I'm a better person now because of treatment. More funding will definitely help others to better their lives as well as the community. Actions speak louder than words, and I'm trying to be a better person by putting into the community, and that's what treatment has taught me. And I hope you consider these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cianci. Benson Hernandez, followed by Susan Baker.
Good morning, Supervisor. My name is Benson Hernandez, and I represent the OCG, Our Common Ground. Since I've been at OCG, I'm learning how to deal with my difficult situation, and I do not think that things would have been possible if I were not at OCG. I'm gaining my family back and my self-esteem, and thank you.
Mr. Hernandez, thank you. Susan Baker, followed by Mike Mahoney.
Good morning, Supervisors and public. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Susan Baker. I am the director of Our Common Ground in East Palo Alto. Over the years, I have seen people come and change their lives. I myself, through recovery, have changed my life. I, as many of them, started using at a very young age. I was 11 years old. I used for 25 years. I now have 21 years clean and sober. And if it wasn't for organizations that help and recovery facilities that can show people that there's a different way of life, some will end up, I know for myself, I would have been dead. I never would have made it. And being able to watch people grow, being able to help support them in their new journey, watching them reunite with their families, having their children come for supervised visits, being able to do all the things that we do to help them get their life on track. Sometimes all it takes is that little break from the insanity out there, and recovery programs give that. And so on behalf of Our Common Ground, as well as all the other recovery facilities in San Mateo County, I hope that you take into consideration trying to help with the funding so that we can stay open and help others. 75% of our residents are from jails and prison and other institutions, and I think it's more important to put money in the facilities of recovery than places that they would end up going in the long run if we weren't around. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Mike Mahoney, followed by Robert Burwell.
Good morning, board members. Mike Mahoney here today, ostensibly on behalf of my client, South Bay Recycling, but I know that I speak for the other 11 member agencies of the South Bayside Waste Management Authority, as well as the hundreds of thousands of customers that make up that service area. Our company operates the transfer station and recycling facility in San Carlos, alongside our better-known neighbor, Recology. Back in early December, you may have recalled an issue where there was a labor dispute, a labor disruption at the Port of Oakland that affected shipping internationally, affected commerce literally all over the world. And it also impacted us here in San Mateo County to a huge extent. Once our facility was filled in San Carlos, we began looking for alternative sites. We located a site over in the East Bay that quickly filled as well. So we literally got to the crisis point where literally in a matter of days, we were going to have to begin taking the recyclables that we collect throughout San Mateo County and begin disposing of them at the landfill up at Ox Mountain. It was at that point when my clients called and asked if I could look into finding an alternative site, and the most fortuitous phone call maybe that I've made in a long time is I called Jim Porter at the county, and lo and behold, the county had recently acquired a facility on Middlefield Road that was vacant at that time. Through a tremendous amount of work by Mr. Maltby's staff, particularly Frida Manuel, Alicia Moulton, I met Miss Jensen, and also Supervisor Slocum's staff, Marcy Dragon, Carol Marks, we were able to effect ostensibly a lease in a matter of 3 or 4 days for a short period of time that enabled us to take all our recyclables, literally thousands and thousands of bales of recyclables that would be otherwise disposed of at the landfill. We were able to temporarily store them on the facility on Middlefield Road. So the labor disruption came to an end, fortunately. We were able to empty that warehouse. It's been returned to the county. And I just want to say on behalf of my company, and I know I speak for the 11 agencies, that we really have a heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Slocum, Mr. Maltby, the entire county. You guys have a wonderful staff. I've been doing this for many, many years throughout California, probably 40 or 50 counties, and I've never dealt with a county that has such a professional staff, and they were just a pleasure to deal with, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Thank you for coming this morning. Robert Burwell, followed by Colleen Fewer.
Good morning. My name is Robert Burwell. I've resided in San Mateo County for 60 years, and I want to thank the board for allowing me to come and speak on this very important issue that we're facing today. My life of alcoholism and drug addiction and a very negative lifestyle from the age of 16 till I was 38. I remember law enforcement telling me that they were going to continue to arrest me until they wore me down. And they did. And those guys actually became angels in disguise for me. They used to tell me I wasn't a bad guy. So moving down into 1993, enter Project 90. They allowed me a time to pause and a chance to change. They began to lay out a way of life that was so positive versus the negative lifestyle by that point that seemed only normal. I was scared and I didn't think it was possible. I was so wrong. I stayed with P90 for an extended period of time and continued to take suggestions and follow direction. Today, 21 years later, I'm still clean and sober. Fast forward to today, we're facing a dangerous situation. P90 is a cornerstone of the community. It promotes a positive lifestyle. You cannot keep this unless you give it away. We need your help to secure funding and to continue our mission of changing lives from negative to positive. It is so important in my eyes today. It's a no-brainer to me. So currently I sit on the board of directors of Project 90, and I get the privilege of sitting down and trying to figure out where we're going to come up with the funding. I got to tell you, it's a lonely road, you know, and so I would just ask the Board of Supervisors to help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burwell. Colleen Fewer, followed by Brant Turner.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Colleen Fewer, and I'm with Unite Here Local 5, a branch of Unite Here Labor Union. Unite Here represents hundreds of thousands of workers in hotels, gaming, food service, and other industries. Unite Here union leaders across the country have been working with employers to address the mutual problem of rising health insurance costs for many years now. At our Local 5, we have an employer union trust fund that has found success in managing healthcare costs by offering a self-funded option along with a fully funded Kaiser HMO. So we are open to sharing our lessons that we've learned over years of directly dealing, bargaining premium rates with Kaiser, and now managing our own self-funded plan. I brought a policy packet here today that includes an overview of self-funded health insurance and case studies of different California counties that have adopted it. And we hope that you'll consider how self-funded health insurance may benefit the county's finances. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fewer. Brant Turner, followed by Michael Devlin.
Hello, Supervisors, President Groom. Good to see everybody. I'm here today on behalf of the California Association of Voting Officials. We have reached out to previous and given some information. Our position is for the good of the people of San Mateo County and the state of California. We're encouraging the board to work with the Department of Elections here in San Mateo County to take a leadership position regarding what is known as open source voting systems. These publicly owned voting systems have a better security and are less expensive than the current vendor sold models. So our hope is that San Mateo County leads in this area for the state. There is currently a LAFCO report coming out of San Francisco County that Supervisor Scott Wiener championed, and we're hopeful that that will lead to good things in San Francisco. But we're also hopeful that San Mateo County will get on the front of this. We're going to be in the predicament of being faced with buying another vendor-sold system in the next few years. And I know in speaking with the Department of Elections, they're aware that the current vendor-sold systems are suffering, per the Secretary of State's study, security issues as well as they're very, very pricey. So we have a solution. If San Mateo County can come on board and show some leadership, we'll move the state ahead and get to a better place regarding our election systems. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Turner. Michael Devlin, followed by Mark Woods.
Good morning. My name is Mike Devlin. I've been a resident of San Mateo County all my life. I'm here representing Project 90 and also the other treatment facilities. You know, Project 90 has been doing this for 43 years. I'm an alumni of them as well. Like I said, I went to Project 90 in 93, and I've been able to stay clean and sober all these years. I don't know where I would have went if Project 90 was not there. We cannot afford to let our fellows slip through the cracks. You know, something's changed with the funding. We need to figure it out. So we're asking for your help to please help us figure this out. As you can see, many people here, treatment works. Where are we going to put them? Where are we going to go if there's no treatment? Jails, institutions. Please look at this issue hard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Devlin. Mark Woods, followed by Dorsey Nunn.
Good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be heard. I'm here on behalf of Project 90. A little over 13 years ago, I was a burden on society, and like most people with alcoholism and addiction, you know, my tornado of pain just caused destruction everywhere else. And you know, my parents wanted to disown me, and I tried to do it on my own. I tried to figure out how to do it on my own, and you know, jail was a great training on how to become a better criminal. It didn't help me as a person, and at the suggestion of my attorney, I went into Project 90, and you know, I've been clean and sober ever since. I started a few successful companies. You know, I've been you know, I bought a home 10, 11 years ago, which I still own. I'm a taxpayer. I do a lot of volunteer work. I give back to the community. You know, if it wasn't, you know, if it wasn't for treatment, you know, God only knows, because I tried it. I tried it on my own, and you know, I was just bad for society, and you know, I know a lot of other people that have a similar story. You know, I don't want to get into it too much, but I know about the money and the jails and everything else. I understand the stock market. I understand economics. I understand how money's being made, you know, and I know it can be more motivating to put money in jails instead of treatment. But you know, I beg you please to, you know, look at the collateral effect of helping people with treatment. You know, the people they stop hurting around them, and the good they stop doing beyond themselves when they can get help. So thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Dorsey Nunn, followed by Dylan Dotson.
My name is Dorsey Nunn. I'm a proud member of an organization called All of Us are None. I'm a co-founder of Free at Last, and I move public policy all over the country. Within the last 9 months, I've been into the White House twice, the Justice Department once, the Labor Department. Also, I'm one of the people that helped pass Proposition 47, and we were making an attempt to actually transfer money from jails into treatment. At a certain point, somebody invested in my treatment as opposed to my incarceration in prison. And I've been clean about 25 years at this point. Every year I show up in my community and I give kids probably between 100 and 200 bicycles. The program that I helped design after I left Project 90 then provided over 100,000 units of service over the last 20 years. So your investment in my 3 months in treatment far outweighed your investment, the return that you got on your money for 12 years in prison. So I would suggest that you make a real investment in treatment facilities throughout San Mateo County, because you get more bang for your dollar. Help me, help you. Because at a certain point, I also won the California Wellness Award for violence prevention. So when y'all knew East Palo Alto to be the murder capital of the United States, some of us that came out of treatment helped turn that situation around. So once again, help me, help you. So it ain't just about my recovery, it's about the entire community, because I think that what we reflect in our community is a lot of different stuff. So at this particular point, the person that you invested in is the head executive director of legal services for prisoners with children. I have a staff of 12, and I have 5 attorneys working for me, and I run $1 million operation. That's a long way from being in a crack house. So at a certain point, my recovery took me from the crack house and let me walk through the gates of the White House.
Thank you, Mr. Nunn. Dylan Dotson, followed by James Adams.
Good morning. I am a 22-year-old client at Our Common Ground, and before I came to our common ground, I was like, my behaviors was a mess. My mental clarity was not there. I was out of focus, and my relationships just kind of like went down south because of my addiction, because of the lifestyle that I live. And coming to our common ground, like they helped me get my focus and my mental clarity back. And if it wasn't for them, I would probably have made a decision that would have sent me to prison or taken my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dotson. James Adams, followed by James Sheelander.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is James Adams. I'm here to speak on behalf of Our Common Ground. I want to speak a little bit about myself first. I've always been a successful individual. I've worked at various law firms and the New York Stock Exchange. I've lived in New York most of my life, lived in San Mateo County for the past 4 years. But I've always been what you call a functioning alcoholic. So, being a functioning alcoholic, I found myself in a bar one Friday afternoon, and I got into a fight in this bar and was sentenced to 10 months in jail. Now, my probation officer recommended Our Common Ground. Now, what Our Common Ground has taught me was that I was in denial about my alcoholism. I have now 10 months without any alcohol in my system. It taught me about resentment. If I would have stayed in jail, I probably would have came out angry, resentful, and went back to drinking. But being in Our Common Ground for 9 months, it taught me a lot about myself, self-esteem. I would not be able to stand up in front of you guys and talk to you without the help of Our Common Ground. I now have a job opportunity for a Fortune 500 company doing logistics, data entry, and I only have 1 week left in Our Common Ground, so I'm at the end of my treatment, and it has helped me a great deal. When you get to certain levels, you start going home on passes, and I have 3 beautiful children and a fiance who I have been seeing regularly, and it has helped me deal with my family life and situation instead of arguments. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adams. James Sheelander.
Good morning, Supervisors and citizens of San Mateo County. I'm James Sherlander. I am a citizen here of the county and appreciate the opportunity to come and speak before you. You are charged with the funding of limited resources to whatever service comes to the county and will be most beneficial to the citizens. I can't stress enough that that funding programs like Our Common Ground will continue to provide a benefit to the county over and over and over again. I'm a resident of Our Common Ground. Before that, for 40 years, I was a successful engineer, project manager, international lecturer, and international safety consultant. I would like to return to that. You wouldn't have to worry about me if there wasn't facilities like Our Common Ground. I would be dead by now. Many of the people that are out at Our Common Ground will return to productive citizens if you allow them to. It is a responsibility for you, and I hope you make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schulander. That's our last speaker. I want to thank all of you who came today to tell us your support for the various treatment facilities in this county. I want to assure you that this county does fund, through our behavioral health programs, a number of recovery programs, and we monitor the success of those, and we do know the value of rehabilitation. Mr. Maltby said earlier that we are currently taking on an assessment of all of the programs that we do. We know that some of the state and federal funding has been eliminated. And so when we get that report back and we begin our budget hearings, that we will again start the new process, and I'm sure that a number of rehabilitation programs will continue to be funded. Let me give you the dates perhaps of when our first budget hearing is June 2nd. We'll continue on the 16th, the 22nd, and the 24th, and we will make final budget decisions on September 22nd. So again, thank you very much for joining us today.
Madam President, just one small correction. The budget hearings actually will begin on June 22nd. It's just a regular board meeting on the 2nd.
Thank you. Sure, Mr. Supervisor Slocum.
Thank you. Mr. Maltby, I'm just curious about when that report might be coming back. Will that be coming back before the budget hearings?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
With our poet laureate and Supervisor Slocum. Before we begin, we have a speaker card on this item. Lenny Roberts?
Can still crawl along there. Good morning, I'm Lenny Roberts. I'm speaking for Committee for Green Foothills, but this is really more of just a personal message. I just wanted to thank the board, particularly Supervisor Slocum and Supervisor Groom, for establishing the Poet Laureate of San Mateo County, and I just think it was a brilliant idea. And the poem that we're going to hear today, The Mission Blue, I think is so apt, because San Bruno Mountain really is a magical place. It has power. Poetry can convey that power. As an island in time, San Bruno Mountain has species there that are being continuously pressured because of particularly climate change now. So I think as we look at the sweep of history and how this mountain came here, and how people have related to it over time, I think it's wonderful to celebrate it in any way we can. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Now, before we begin, I neglected to have us set the agenda and approve the consent calendar items.
Through President Groom, I would like to ask that item number 10 be continued.
Okay. We will continue item number 10.
I'll move adoption of the agenda with that item removed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now it's all yours, Warren.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Lenny, for those kind words. And Madam President, she did say it was brilliant. Thank you. So all of you know our poet laureate, Carolyn Goodwin. She doesn't need any introduction, but she has a very special poem today, as was mentioned, and I'm going to let her share with us a little about that poem and ask her to come to the podium and read her poem for us all this morning. Thank you, Carolyn.
Good morning. Thank you so much again for your attention and for making room for poetry. Thank you very much for your statement. And also, I just want to say it's been a real privilege to be here this morning and hear all the very, very powerful stories of recovery and rehabilitation. And for what it's worth, you know, our residential treatment programs are vital to the health of our communities. And I just really I don't know that much about it, but I do hope that they get, that everyone gets what they need in that area, because of, we all probably know people who have benefited from residential treatment and families who have. So I do hope that San Mateo County continues to support treatment. So what I'm going to do is read this, and then I'll probably at some point come take my scroll down because I got to go. But I had such a good time writing this poem and thinking about San Bruno Mountain. So I do hope you enjoy it. It's called Mission Blue. I go up before sunrise, before the light finds the promenade and salt flats and marina, the baylands and lagoon, alive with willows and goldeneye, and before the door opens in the east, and the night shift clocks out, and the parents and older brothers and sisters come home to the younger ones to wake them and prepare the first meal of the day. My own heart opening into the familiar, into the old grief blue as a glacier, I go up. And when the light reaches the water at the center of every lupin, when the blue wings come like a blessing to cover my eyes, there is my grandfather leaving the garden, offering bright lettuce and the formula for a good crop, one starfish under every potato, and a layer of herring eggs in March. Hand over his heart, hand placing the last rose, the sun opening over the bay, into the stone crop, into the blue wings we all hold on to there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carolyn.
Thanks.
Every time you come, you seem to kind of outdo yourself.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Carol, go ahead, I'm sorry. Carolyn, stop doing that for a moment, please.
Oh, okay.
So Supervisor Slocum, do you want to do item number two?
I just wanted to ask, yes, I do want to do item number 2. Thank you, Madam President, but
Put it back up?
yeah, put it back up. It's good for the camera.
Okay. I forgot.
Okay, well, maybe somebody close by will
I
give
got
you a
it.
hand. Okay, good. Okay. Thank you so much. Well, now, wasn't that poem dedicated to Supervisor Pine as a result of that book that was given to him? And
Was it a book? Something was given
Yeah.
the last time I was here
About
San
San
Bernardino Mountain.
Yeah, I
and
think that's right.
I can't
Beautiful,
believe I've
set
never
of
been
photos.
there.
Oh, you
Yeah.
need to go this weekend.
Well, now I have. I went because of that.
Yeah, she wrote the poem.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
thank you. So, item number 2 is a presentation of a proclamation designating April 2015 as National Poetry Month. And before we go any further, I would make a motion that we approve said proclamation.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I was still thinking of the poem, sorry.
Just a couple of quick things about poetry. And as we all know, poetry enriches our lives, and not only our lives, but the lives of all Americans and all the folks that live in San Mateo County in California. A couple of interesting facts about poetry. See how many of these you know as poet laureate. Aristotle believed that there were 3 categories of poems, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to name them, but they were epic, tragic, and comic. And did you know that haiku is one of the short poetry styles? Of course, you knew that. And poetry helps improve our vocabularies, and poetry is ancient, and it's a fact that even primitive people wrote poems. And finally, the French poet Paul Valéry, did I say his name right? Defined poetry as the unique intersection of language and state of mind. Language and state of mind. I'm very sorry to share with you all, and Carolyn knows this, so it's no surprise, but in June, we're actually going to start recruiting for next year's Poet Laureate. And Carolyn, you've done an amazing job, and I know we'll recognize and celebrate your contributions to San Mateo County at a later point in time. But we'll all be sad to see you move on as San Mateo County's first Poet Laureate. And as Lenny Roberts said, it was brilliant. Thank you so much. And I'll give you the proclamation if you'll come
Awesome.
forward.
All right, and then I'll take my scroll.
You can take your thing down
Then I'll take my, I love this thing, man. It's awesome. Go around and just have it everywhere.
We'll just stand in front of it. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Another brilliant move. Standing in front of the sign.
That's why you wanted to stay. It is nice. You should do this more often, stuff like that. Okay, Supervisor Pine is going to present a proclamation designating May 2015 as Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you, President Groom. As a liaison to the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Recovery Commission, it's my privilege to introduce a resolution now to name May as Mental Health Awareness Month, so I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Tens of millions of people in this country live with mental health conditions, and I think we're all very proud of the remarkable work we do here in San Mateo County. The list of our programs is long, from our full-service partnerships to our total wellness program, our mental health first aid, our prevention and early intervention for at-risk children, the new respite center, which is underway, the California Clubhouse, which is underway, and that's just a sampling. So today we recognize the great work of our staff and of our partners in doing this work. But most importantly, the purpose of this proclamation is to continue to bring public attention to mental health and to remove the stigma associated with mental health. Our county and our country has come a long way in that regard, but we still have a long way to go. And we need to break down that stigma so that we can continue to make progress and that people who need the services will seek them out. So I have a couple of folks today are joining us. We have, of course, Steve Kaplan. I don't know if Daniela Tavaki or, okay, and Alan Cochran. Yes, sir. And I don't know, but Catherine Reyes, maybe, is she going to join us as well? But why don't I go ahead and give you this proclamation, if I might?
Want to do that first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice try. There's a story there, yeah. Yeah, I kind of figured that out. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, board members, Mr. Malpe, Mr. Byers. First, I want to echo President Groom's comments and thank all of the people that came out this morning to share their personal stories of recovery. I think it was very inspirational, and it really reinforces the work that all of our behavioral health contract providers and staff and clients work at every single day. So I really appreciate them showing up today. There is a story behind this tie. It's the statewide colors for our stigma work for mental health around the state. And so that's why we're wearing it this month, and to bring recognition, and it worked its purpose. It was people asking, well, what is that tie? So it gives me a chance to talk about it. It's really important that we celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month for 4 reasons. First, it's for people that are living with mental health challenges every day, to tell them that there's no shame in that there's treatment and services available in this county, and recovery is not only possible, but it is probable. The second reason is for their family members, similarly to tell them there is no shame in their loved ones living with a mental illness, that there's not only services and support for their loved ones, but for them as well, primarily through our NAMI affiliate, which is a tremendous resource in the community. And thirdly, for them, that there is hope for their family members to achieve a life worth living. And the third reason is our staff at behavioral health, our contract providers, our individual practitioners in the community who have dedicated their careers to working with people with mental health challenges and work at that every day and do work above and beyond to help people achieve the quality of life that they seek. And the fourth reason why we do this is for our community, to tell them that their neighbors and their family members and their co-workers are living with mental health challenges, and that what we seek from them is their acceptance and tolerance to make it possible for people that live with mental health challenges to not be ashamed, to step up, to seek treatment, and derive the benefits that treatment offers and supports. So it is really important, it's more than symbolic. It really sends an important message throughout our community. And we know one of the biggest challenges is people not seeking treatment when they need it because of the shame that many people carry around mental illness. And so we need to work at that collectively to remove those stigma. So I'm really pleased that we have a couple speakers to share some of their life stories with you, and just sort of puts the exclamation point on why this is important. So I'm going to turn it over to Alan first.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors and community. My name is Alan Cochran. I've been a resident of San Mateo County for over 20 years. I suffer with mental health issues for even longer than that. You know, I never tried to get treatment because I had an uncle in my family, and I remember how it was when he dropped out of college and started driving a cab for the rest of his life, and kind of just got away from the family, and how everyone looked at him, you know. And I didn't want to be that uncle, you know. So I didn't seek treatment, and it wasn't until my father going back home to Michigan and watching my father die of cancer, and just having to be at his bedside for over a month, that I had a mental breakdown. And when I came back here, and I went to where I was living, and I stepped outside, and for the first time in my life, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know whether to go right or left. You know, I didn't know what to do, and I just totally panicked, you know. I've been working with BHRS now for over 4 years, you know, and I've gotten help. The main help that I've gotten for me was through the 3AB and being on that ward and getting help from all the good doctors and nurses there that gave me the help I needed at the time when I needed it. Since then, I've been able to help with the Kaizen there to help work on the safety issues of 3AB, you know, and I was glad to be a part of that as a consumer, you know, to help make changes that made it safer, not only for the nurses and the security, but for also for the patients. And another thing that I'm doing now is working with the Spirituality Initiative. I've been doing that for over 4 years. And I first got connected with BHRS through the photo voice, you know, and doing pictures and putting them on posters, and they travel around the county. I don't know if you've seen that, but they're on the website, you know, and from that led to the digital storytelling, which led to volunteering for Cal Mesa and Each Mind Matters. And it's through helping other people that I help myself, you know. I don't focus so much on my mental health issues now. I have my own apartment going on 4 years now. I've been living there, self-supporting, taking care of myself, and giving back to my community through volunteer work. And I was honored to be inducted into the Mental Health Hall of Fame. That Supervisor Pine gave me a proclamation and a plaque, and I really appreciate all the help I've gotten from San Mateo County, the residents, as well as the Board of Supervisors. So thank you for allowing me to share my story, and I want to give out these armbands for each member.
Great.
And also this poster that we've had laminated to kick off our Mental Health Month of May, and we're going to have the opening ceremonies at Building 100 on 37th Avenue, 225 37th Avenue on May the 4th at 6 p.m. So, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Daniela Tavaki. I'm going to give you a background, a little bit of my background. I've been in and out of prison for the last 21 years. I've been addicted to meth. There was a time where I believed that the only place that I could be a woman and be loved as a woman and respected as a woman is in prison. And today I know different. because of the mental health workers that I've worked with. I'm working with one every day. I mean, one day a week. I have to see her. Part of my success, I got out December 7th of last year. Part of my success has been by seeing her weekly through Service Connect, and because I've seen her and talked to her whenever I could, I now have a car payment for the first time in my life. I have a new car that I drove off the car lot with, and I actually have like a phone carrier besides Metro for the first time in my life, and it's all under my credit and all under my hard work. I have a steady job, and I can't express how important mental health has been to me, because I once believed that I could never ask for help because that was for the weak, and now I know different. It's only the strong that ask for help, and I commend my brothers and sisters in recovery. I'm in recovery too, and the reason why I can stand here before you, and instead of a prison walls and behind prison with life in prison, because in 2008 I was facing life in prison, and I beat it. And part of it was because through the mental health services and choices, Shirley Lamar and Mrs. Fine, Mr. Slocum, you've seen me plenty of times in your room, in your courtroom, and my past doesn't make me ashamed anymore. I used to believe I was defective because I wasn't born in the right sex. Now, I know I'm not defective, and that's through working with mental health workers. And I know that it's okay for me to be me, and to love me for me, and to to be comfortable with myself. And if it wasn't for the mental health workers, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I truly believe that with all my heart and all my soul. And I was asked to give you these so you could wear them. And I appreciate you for listening to me and giving me the opportunity to speak and to tell you my story. I'm very grateful, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Fox, would you like to you have a comment to make?
Thank you again, President Groom and members of the board. This is the 67th Mental Health Awareness Month observance. I would suggest that we also consider mental illness and talk about the people that can't appear in front of you and tell their story because they're so sick that they can't seek treatment by themselves. The people like Supervisor Pine identified in South San Francisco, the people like Supervisor Horsley identified, like the people that County Manager Maltby identified to the Community Corrections Partnership. When you have a 9-year-old boy who gets knifed to death at 3 o'clock on Sunday morning over in Discovery Bay, it becomes acutely aware, should make us all acutely aware, that mental illness needs to be addressed, and we need to celebrate accomplishments there, and we can do that if we adopt Laura's law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
President Groom, just make a quick comment. I just wanted to express my appreciation to Danielle talking about choices, that Shirley Lamar has changed a lot of lives, and she really has saved a lot of people from going to state prison, and just congratulations. Really glad that you were here, and really glad to hear both of your stories. So I appreciate it. I know how tough it is to do that. So I just want to let you know that personally, as somebody who's had somebody who's mentally ill in their family, I know how difficult it is. I really appreciate you coming to the board today.
Thank you, Don.
President Groom, I make just one closing comment. You know, I think we're all moved by the testimony of our speakers today, and I'm really going to remember this. What was said about only the strong ask for help. That's exactly right.
Thank you, Dave. We're going to go to item number 4, which is a proclamation designating May 16th, 17th, 2005 as Cal Freshness Awareness Month. I'd like to move that we approve this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cal Fresh Awareness was started in May of 2011, and according to the United States Department of Agriculture, 14.3% of American households were food insecure at least sometime during the year, 5.6% with very low security. So under the several years ago, Supervisor Tissier and others began a awareness campaign in the county of San Mateo so that we would make sure that as many people as possible were eligible for CalFresh. It's a program that adds to the food budget to put healthy and nutritious food on the table for qualified households and individuals. So it's really a very strong health initiative that we have adopted in this county. And so I'm happy to welcome Ileana Rodriguez and Laura Wellington to accept this proclamation.
$4 a day. Twice a day.
Thank you, President Groom. And good morning, honorable board members, Mr. Malpe, Mr. Byers. It's my pleasure to be here this morning with the board to declare May CalFresh Awareness Month. As we know, CalFresh is an essential program in ending hunger in our country. Even with the strong network of partners that we have in this county and food distribution centers, every day there are still families and children at risk of hunger. While we've seen an increase in the CalFresh caseloads over the past years, we know that we can do more. At the Human Services Agency, we've been steadily increasing our outreach to clients and the public to heighten awareness and access to those who are potentially eligible. Over the last year, we enrolled over 9,300 residents in the program. We partnered with the County Office of Education to provide CalFresh awareness information to 93,000 families in the 23 school districts. We presented at over 35 community events, at senior centers and homeless shelters, steadily trying to close the gap between those who are eligible and those who seek the services. We hosted our first ever CalFresh in the Day at Skyline College, and we're going to duplicate that event at Kenyatta. We integrated nutrition information by collaborating with our health system and incorporating a registered dietitian at many of our outreach events. This team has visited several summer meals programs, encouraging children and families to adopt healthier behaviors through hands-on preparation of a variety of meals, paired with daily physical activity, reaching thousands of low-income households in our communities that are most impacted by our health disparities. We are currently collaborating with fellows from Stanford University Gardner Center and other external partners to ensure that we remain strategic in our efforts to reach those families and individuals who yet have not enrolled. To heighten awareness this month, I remember years ago, many of the supervisors on this board trying to live on a CalFresh budget. Supervisor Tissier. It wasn't easy. And last year, we came across this book, which is available to all nonprofits or anybody, a link on the PDF A PDF link is on our webpage, and it helps individuals, it's trying to help individuals live on a strict budget. And I looked through some of the recipes, they're actually quite good. Finally, we're expanding our collaboration with our County Office of Education to reach out directly to the families of children participating in our reduced school lunch programs. And I'd like to invite Laura Wellington, the coordinator for Safe Route to Schools now.
Good morning, President Groom, honorable supervisors, and distinguished staff. Thank you for bringing the county's CalFresh program into the spotlight. My name is Laura Wellington, and I work with the San Mateo County Office of Education. I'm a coordinator with the Safe and Supportive Schools Division. And as an educator for the last 20 years, I can say when a student comes to school hungry, learning takes a back seat. So therefore, nourishing our school communities continues to be a longstanding commitment. Through the work of school districts, local and government agencies, we are responding more jointly and strategizing more formally in order to ensure our students are receiving nutritional meals and gaining access to other resources as needed. Through Measure A, the expansion of the Family Resource Centers has been made possible. Working together with schools, the Family Resource Centers offer services and resources to families seeking to improve the health, safety, and successfulness of their children. The Family Resource Center has now expanded from 7 sites with 1 social worker to 13 sites with an added benefits analyst. The benefits analyst works directly with the families to help facilitate some of that paperwork for those programs. In addition, just in the past quarter, January through March of 2015, the Clinical Family Resource Center staff has served a total of 873 new and continuing clients throughout the county. So when we look at nutritional inequalities, let's just say some of these programs even out the playing field. These are just 2 examples of the work that is being done to provide quality and comprehensive care to build a healthier community, starting with really our youth. The CalFresh program has been instrumental in allowing our students access to a warm breakfast and a fresh, nutritious lunch so that they may be more successful in the classroom. On behalf of the San Mateo County Office of Education, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for bringing awareness to the CalFresh program.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Ileana. Now we will go to item number 5, which is a proclamation designating May 16, 17 as Makers Weekend in San Mateo County. And I would move that we accept this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We're so fortunate in San Mateo County to be the home of the Makers Fair Weekend. And it takes place at the San Mateo County Event Center. It is celebrates the spirit of music makers and scientists and creative ideas. It's kind of the ultimate do-it-yourself meets high-tech, and it's just a wonderful weekend. And so I would like to present this proclamation to Linda Asbury, who is the president of the San Mateo Edge, and to Ronnie Tomcat, who is the vice president at the San Mateo County Event Center.
Thank you, Madam President, and the supervisors. Carol and I have been on this venture for 10 years now when they started here, and it is our goal that they never leave this prime area. It was their first Maker Fair. Sherry Huss, who is the co-founder, can't be here today because she's in Paris when they're doing a mini, M-I-N-I, Maker Fair. So thank you for all your support of this important event we have in San Mateo. It brings us worldwide recognition. And thank you. And then Ronnie's going to introduce himself.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Ronnie Tompot. I'm the Vice President of Operations for the San Mateo Event Center. I just wanted to mention to everyone that this is truly a mothership event for us at the Event Center. We are so blessed to have such a great client and a great facility to have this event share with the community. So please come on down May 16th and 17th, and I highly recommend bringing suntan lotion because people don't realize it's such a massive event and that you see so many things that you recognize, you don't realize you're out in the sun for 4 or 5, 6 hours. So come on down, bring some suntan lotion, get there early. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, Makers Faire is a unique event, and anybody who has not seen it, you should make an attempt to get there. Now we'll go to item number 6, and then I'll be done. You'll be tired of me by this point. I would also have a proclamation designating May 2 and 3 as Streets Alive, Parks Alive Weekend in San Mateo County.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. This is an event from north to south and east to west in San Mateo County, where every city in its own way celebrates its parks or its streets. And the notion is to learn about new parks, get your family together for the weekend, close the street, and enjoy the atmosphere of being together in the outdoor fresh air, learn about programs that every city offers, that our county offers for being fit and being well and enjoying the bountiful things that we have in this county. And so once again, we have a proclamation declaring May 2nd and 3rd as Streets Alive, Parks Alive Day. And I thought I saw Marlene leave. Okay, Marlene Finley, our Director of Parks, is still here, and we'll present this to her. And Julia Bott is here also.
Big group.
I'll take 1 second, because I just want, I'm Julia Bott with the County Parks Foundation. I just did want to take 1 second to recognize some of the partners that are working with us for the Streets Alive, Parks Alive event on Cañada Road. Members of the Peninsula Family Y are here. They will be putting on a rodeo there. And also Ellen Barton from the Office of Sustainability and Active Transportation will be out promoting transportation alternatives. What better audience than those already on their bikes? Since they were here, I wanted to make sure that they were acknowledged. Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Andrew Sloan. I'm the coordinator of a program called Y-Bike for the Peninsula Family YMCA. And I wanted to thank Streets Alive, Parks Alive for allowing us to partner with them for the second year in a row and to advance our mission of for the YMCA of San Francisco to have the healthiest kids in the United States by the year 2020. And it's through partnerships with organizations like Streets Alive, Parks Alive, and the San Mateo Department of Recreation that we can achieve that. We can't achieve that as just as an organization. It's through these partnerships that it's possible that we can achieve that goal. So thank you guys.
Thank you. So everybody get out your sneakers. Supervisor Slocum, you're next with the STEM Grantee Awards.
Do you want to go first, or?
You go.
Okay. As you all probably know, the STEM program was started by then Supervisor Mark Church and Supervisor Rose Jacobs Gibson, and has been in existence ever since then. And I recently, well, for the last couple of years, along with Supervisor Groom, had the chance to go to the STEM Awards ceremony where teachers were recognized for their contributions. And I have to tell you that the creativity and the commitment, the excitement of those teachers is contagious. And the really great thing about it, I think, is that not only do kids get to learn about science and technology and engineering and math, but they actually learn by doing. I saw, for instance, I think second or third graders actually doing computer coding. And it was incredible to watch them as they built these games. It's an amazing sight. So with that, let me introduce to you Josie Yu, who is our STEM education coordinator in San Mateo County, and she's going to reintroduce us briefly to the program, and I know she has a PowerPoint slide presentation. So Josie, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Good morning, President Groom, honorable members of the board, Mr. Maltby and Mr. Byers. I'm so honored to be here to speak to you today. There will be two other speakers following me that have won awards that we've given. Today, you've given a really nice background, and let me see. So I'll sort of skip the 10 years ago, former supervisor Mark Church and Rose Jacobs Gibson worked with the biotechnology task force, and the goal back then, there was such a demand for biotechnology workers, they really thought we need to create a pipeline, an early pipeline for youth to be involved in this workforce. So you can see in the second bullet the partnerships that were key members of this task force, and they really found that a vision statement that they wanted to provide real-world math and science learning experiences that really fostered creative output and critical thinking skills so that our students could really be the innovators of the future. So this slide just is an illustration of the STEM workforce needs that are currently available and are projected to be needed in the future. And so you can see this little man on the left, he is happy because he has STEM skills and there's more than one job open to him. And there's really opportunity here to really increase that STEM talent locally so that we graduate more graduates in STEM fields, both in 2-year degrees and 4-year degrees. And as you can see in the projection, there's over 1 million STEM jobs projected to be available in California. I'm sure that's only in 3 years, and I'm sure there's going to be many of them here in the Bay Area. So getting back to, this is the need, and so what is, the response to that need? And that is really to think of creating a pipeline or career pathway early from elementary school so that these complex skills can be developed at an early age so they're really ready in high school and college to go further. The Innovation Fund initially funded the Math and Science Teacher Innovation Awards and the Stanford Summer Fellowships. It also created my position, and I manage now 4 different programs that all kind of support this pipeline. I have a workforce development sort of perspective. Now I'm really happy to be in Human Services Agency working with Ileana Rodriguez and Selena Toy Lee in the collaborative community outcomes, because we can really now expand upon what we've learned and really give access to foster youth and other at-risk youth and figure out how they can be part of this pathway as well. Some of the components of each of the 4 programs, just wanted to highlight a couple of these. The content knowledge and practice of the knowledge is really important. When students have project-based learning, they really still need that content. And then the why. Why are students learning algebra? And they find it much more appealing when they know that really it's useful in various jobs. And finally, there's time to really develop the 21st century workforce skills, and that's actually skills, collaboration, communication. They're necessary for actually all jobs. So there's 2 in-school programs that I mentioned. Matt Pavio is going to be speaking, principal of Roosevelt Elementary School, and I think he brought a student, which is going to be so exciting. And then the Stanford University Fellowship. So a little bit more about the Math and Science Teacher Innovation Award. Since 2005, we've awarded 107 teachers. funding their creative projects, hands-on projects in math and science. They've directly engaged 4,000 students. And you can see that there's really interesting projects, building rockets and testing them, and dissecting cow hearts, and building 3D structures of molecules. And this all prepares them for the next generation science standards that are going to be adopted. The Stanford program, since 2005, has brought in 38 fellows, and what they do is they have the opportunity to work alongside engineers and scientists in Stanford laboratories, where they have their own research project, and the impact of this is they come back and they write curriculum, and they share that curriculum both locally and even nationally through the ISME program, and that's affected 93,000 students in our county. I just wanted to provide one highlight. 2 of the teachers came back for 2 summers, and they were chemistry teachers working with chemistry faculty and graduate students, and they really devised innovative curriculum, and that happened to be packaged into a workshop called ChemX Squared. And so they've been recruiting cohorts of chemistry teachers locally and beyond our county to really learn this curriculum, and actually they're doing a recruitment right now for this summer's session at Stanford. So turning to the out-of-school programs, there's 2 programs. One is the Academic Center. Actually, you might know this as the homework centers. They've been in existence for quite a few years. They really play a critical role in bridging the gap in core academic subject knowledge, and actually allowing kids to really catch up if they're running behind. And this really complements the efforts of President Groom and the Big Lift. And then the second program is the out-of-school STEM grants, and you're going to be hearing from learningtech.org, Mark Miller and Len Erickson today. So I just wanted to touch briefly on the out-of-school STEM grant. It was designed to really bring together diverse agencies, cities, nonprofits, so that together they can support STEM education. And it's really to build that community collective impact. The other 2 bullets I've talked to you about before, so getting down to, the what. So there's close to 4,000 students, 3,700 that have been benefited from this program for the last 4 years. The programs are really distributed widely throughout the county, and we've made a concerted effort to include the unincorporated parts of San Mateo County. These are just some pictures from some of the projects. You can see that there's everything from physics of how do you design a good roller coaster with a great thrill, and how do you design a robot that can do something you want it to do through learning coding. One thing we've done with the county, all of these providers are just stellar, but we've given them tools and taught them how to continually improve their program even during their year of funding. And so together we've actually created a community of best practices. They're rotating and seeing each other's programs, and that really connects us to the regional STEM efforts and even statewide through the power of discovery grants. The academic centers, I won't go through this, but these are the sort of target students that go to and attend these centers. And each year we serve 3,000 students, K through 8. It's definitely a county-wide program with all 16 districts participating. And as you can see from the results, from survey results, teachers, parents, and students themselves really say it improves their academic success in schools. And so if you want to see one of these in action, John F. Kennedy Elementary School, it's not actually middle school, elementary school in Daly City won a really prestigious Kent Award. And so we created a video, so if you want to see that center in action, click on that URL. Whoops, I think I went. So finally, in addition to these programs, the county's really partnered with a diverse array of organizations to pilot some ideas. And you have one handout that really highlights the REAL program. If you want to know more details of the REAL program, is still in existence. This year, we've really launched digital literacy in South San Francisco in collaboration with 6 other organizations. And I'd like to invite you to the May 20th STEM Career Roundtable. And that's an event to connect the business industry experts to youth and their parents so that they are aware of the jobs and that are just residing right outside of their community. So next steps, we're just wanting to continue to build capacity, expand, and give more access to a greater number of students. And we want to dream big, and we want to give them big dreams so that they feel like they have opportunities here in being part of this STEM pathway. And so I thank you for your time, appreciate your continued support in this endeavor, and just appreciate all that you do. So our next speaker will be Mark Miller and Lynn Erickson from Learning Tech.
President Groom, members of the board, Mr. Maltby, Mr. Byers, and members of the community. My name is Mark Miller, and it's my privilege to tell you a little bit about our program. I'm hoping to have a slide. While I'm waiting for the slide, I would like to thank Dr. Yu and the county for believing in what we're doing, and Mike Perez from the City of Pacifica for helping us manage the administrative part, and Dr. Erickson for being my colleague in this effort. And I think I can go on. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we've created this entity called the San Mateo County Community STEM Alliance. What we've tried to do is to bring together a sort of almost a whole ecology of different organizations, including school districts and nonprofits and cities, to work together to reach out to young people, to make them aware of STEM, make them excited about STEM, to consider STEM as a major in college and a career. There's a number of organizations mentioned there, including Human Services and also the COSIDE Community Foundation. These are the core activities we've been doing with students this year. We've been doing coding and computer science. That was mentioned by Supervisor Slocum. It is quite exciting to see students building not only games, but stories and even their own science simulations. We use an online tool called code.org. Many organizations have also participated in Hour of Code. And more advanced students, we get them to text coding with Python or things like creating simulations with NetLogo. So there's quite a diversity of things they get to do there. We've been doing robotics for a very long time with students. We currently use Lego Mindstorms. The newest one's called EV3. They're doing design thinking, they're doing engineering, and of course they're doing robotic coding and programming. And we also do making, so you can see, a MakerBot there, and students will design something. I think that's one of their projects is being cooked right now there. So those are some of the things we do. The usual format. It's a 4 through 8 program. We usually group in 4, 5, and 6 through 8, although it depends on the school. Sometimes it'll be a different mix, but generally that's how it works. We have a mix of boys and girls. We also have a couple of programs that are all girl. One of the challenges in this area is that women tend to be greatly underrepresented, and girls don't necessarily see STEM as something they want to do. So we work hard on that as well. We advertise through the schools. Our flyers are bilingual. We very much try to reach out for ethnic diversity. Typically, we provide an 8-week series, 90 minutes per session, 1 day per week, and we reach out to quite a few schools. A given site might have 1 session during the year, or they might have 2 or 3, and that's mostly a function of budget and trying to reach as many students as we can. And of course, that varies a little bit from location. Let me talk about the different 3 districts that we're actually working in. District 3 being the coast side, that's sort of our main starting point. It's led by the city of Pacifica. Pacifica School District is a very strong partner in that. Half Moon Bay Coastside Chamber of Commerce and Cabrillo Unified School District. And in that area, we have full programs at all the schools that have K through 8 students. We also reach a little bit to the south as far as Pescadero, and we currently have a program there that's actually in-school robotics and coding. One of the things I have to thank Len Erickson for is the amount of mileage he puts on his car, because we're trying to be in a lot of different places. We're also serving North Fair Oaks and East Palo Alto in District 4. We work with Fair Oaks Elementary School. We recently finished a series with Connect Charter School, which is on that campus. And we're working with all girls programs at the Siena Youth Center. And our emphasis in that area is coding for girls. In Ravenswood, we're delivering a STEM program which is focused on grade 4-5 robotics, and that's at Castaño Elementary. In District 1, South San Francisco, we have this partnership with the Digital Literacy Project, and that's at Martin Elementary, Los Cerritos, and the Community Learning Center. So we're in quite a few places, but not everywhere. Our focus is low income and ethnic diversity. We also have a focus on increasing the participation of girls in these types of programs. This is the 4th year of our grant award. We're very grateful for that. We've served something over 1,500 boys and girls during that time. In the current year, we're serving 106 girls and 122 boys, at least in the spring term, and it's still not halfway, but it's a lot closer than we've seen in the past. So we are making progress on that dimension. What do the kids learn? Well, one thing we like to call the 3 C's. That's kind of our jargon, I guess, but coding, computer science, and computational thinking. And depending on the grade level, it's more coding, but computer science encompasses more than just coding. So we try to give them sort of, like, for example, the idea of what an algorithm is, so on. And get them excited about, careers at places like Google and Yahoo and Apple and so on. And also to think like a computer scientist. It's a whole other tool to have in their mental toolkit. Design thinking, collaborative problem solving. A lot of what we do is team projects that they present at the end of the series. They learn some robotic engineering, simple machines, coding, cause and effect. Troubleshooting and debugging. I mean, one of the most important things I think you can learn is what to do when it doesn't work. So I always tell the kids, bugs are good, because that's when you learn something new. Obviously, applications of math and science, and they learn perseverance and resilience, which of course are Common Core thinking skills. And I finally want to mention links to other programs. Obviously, we're working with the digital literacy, I mentioned that. We also work with a number of in-class programs that are outside of our grant. And what this does, it helps us to ensure alignment and cohesion with what's going on in the classroom. We understand what the teachers are working with during the day, so then when we're working with the same students in the after school, we're able to align with that. We also do professional development programs at San Mateo County Office of Education to help more teachers be able to offer these kinds of skills in their classrooms. We do advanced coding programs in EPA with an organization called the Foundation for College Education. And we are working with, it's called the Dimensions of Success that Josie mentioned, which is a way to improve our programs through observing and giving feedback. And finally, I want to mention, we've had a big push recently that began with one girl whom we call Cindy. That's not her real name. She was a foster student. We gave her a scholarship. She went from poor attendance and low grades to, after a summer in our program, getting straight A's and having excellent attendance, and actually represented foster youth at a conference down in Anaheim, or not Anaheim, Pasadena, just recently, and did a fantastic job representing foster children. So we did that pilot. We've recently been awarded a small grant from the Clive Foundation to allow us to expand our work to bring in 10 foster youth this summer into our program. And we're also exploring ways to reach out during the school year. Thank you very much for your attention.
Good morning. My name is Matt Paveo. I'm the principal at Roosevelt Elementary School in Burlingame. I brought along our school president, Ella Macco, who can tell a little bit about the program from a student's perspective. But I really wanted to talk about kind of our whole school program that we've been working on. So this will kind of be kind of a general talk about that. When we look at Roosevelt, we're thinking about the problems that our students have to face in the future, and there are a storm of them coming. We have all these different problems that our 21st century student is going to have to help solve. But we've gathered our whole staff around this quote, and we live by this quote. We really want to make sure that we're making students that are change agents as we move forward. So this was our charge when we started this program in 2012, that we really were working on that 21st century student. So we just first thought, where are we going to start? So our first thought was, we need to get as much technology into the hands of our students as possible. And through generous donations from our community, we were able to do that. But we found that that really wasn't enough, that we really need to continue to get more skills for our students. And we really were ignoring some of the basic 21st century skills that were happening in our site. So we started concentrating on those. And we see we got that going. But we still thought there's more here. We're missing out on still some stuff. So we moved into design and engineering. We have now a plan around design and engineering that we want all our students to kind of follow this path. And we actually have it in our hallways, these big red circles, so that we're always being reminded of this is kind of the goal, that we need to be change agents and we need to be thinking in this way. And this is our design process. So we did it as a whole school model. And our K1s, we started calling apprentice, 2-3s, we started calling journeyman, and our 4-5s, we started calling master craftsman. And everybody was introduced to this through this book, What to Do with an Idea. So at our apprentice stage, we just want a lot of play. We want a lot of building. We want to get the vocabulary in their hands. Of course, we want to start thinking that kids can have ideas. In our journeyman stage, we build it up. Now they need to start thinking about real world problems. So our second and third graders are starting to go out into the community through the use of QR codes. They took surveys around the community about problems, came and then presented theirs to the city council, presented solutions to the city council. And they started to really become problem solvers. And our master craftsman stage, we really actually take another step up. We start talking about still planning and building, but in the end, we really believe that if you have an idea and you can't present your idea, then the idea dies, or it really isn't an idea at all. So what we started to do is we started to talk about passion projects for our fifth graders. And at the end of their fifth grade year, all the fifth graders need to present what were called Teddy Talks. We're Teddy Roosevelt School. So in order to do this, we found that there wasn't a lot on how to give good presentations. But we were fortunate in that we were able to do a private-public partnership with Duarte Design out of the Silicon Valley, who's a world-renowned marketing firm that works with Fortune 500 companies from around the world. And they were interested in working with a school. We just happened to be a school looking for someone. So we made this partnership. I would turn it over. Maybe Ella, maybe you can briefly talk about the Teddy Talks and where you're at or what this is and what Duarte did for us.
Okay. So we were put in groups of 3, and each group of 3 had a presenter, a tech lead, and a lead researcher. And our job was to find something that we're passionate about but had a problem to it, and either find a solution or make a call to action. And so using like the Duarte storyboard and ideas, right now most groups are starting to work on their slides. And the slides are going to show either pictures or information. And when we present in June, we'll have the slides playing behind us. And that's kind of what we play off of.
So this is also a whole community model. We are Title I schools, and since we were asking for technology, we had to reach out to our community, and leveraging some of our community resources, we're able to start a donation program through our Dad's Club where used technology devices would come in and be able to be given out to those in families in need. We have STEM art activities. We have Worldwide Wednesdays that where we actually used our smart boards and Skyped with countries from around the world, Brazil, Belgium, France, at lunch, and had these drop-ins where kids could then talk to people from around the world. These are some of the events. There's Worldwide Wednesdays happening. We have our idea boards. There's the QR codes. So right now, we are fully functioning as really a STEM school in that from kindergarten to fifth grade, Our teachers are enlivened. Thanks to the innovation grant, we were able to get 3D printing going, and we really are creating designers for the future. And here's a perfect example of what we're talking about. This is our little library out in front of our school. And really what we want to do is make things better. So one of our students decided to make this better by drawing a smiley face on it. So, because everybody at our school, we believe in this quote. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal, for that presentation, and thank you to the young speaker, too. And thank you to everybody who presented on STEM. Just a couple little things. I'm just wanting to share with you that there's an organization in East Palo Alto, Street Code Academy. You may already know about them, but I'm hopeful that you may somehow, some way connect with them and maybe partner in some sort of activity where the Street Code Academy kids could help tutor the littler kids. In any event, I just came across this little tidbit. I wanted to share it with you, that in South Korea, teachers are known as nation builders. In South Korea, teachers are known as nation builders, and that's exactly the way I think about the teachers who participate in the STEM program. So thank you to all the teachers. Thank you to President Groom.
You bet. Thank you all. We'll go to item number 8 now, which is a presentation of commendations to the Workday Project Team. Supervisor Slocum.
Thank you. Busy morning for proclamations and awards. Having worked on systems projects before in my career, I can tell you that it's not an easy thing to do, especially not an easy thing to do when a system cuts across multiple boundaries, multiple departments, and where the project actually gets the buy-in of workers and is delivered on time and under budget. That's a rarity, I think, pretty much. But that's exactly what the Work Team Project Day did. And they, as you all know, introduced the county's first integrated online payroll and human resource system that went live earlier this month. I actually have the icon on my desktop, thank you all. And it's a modern cloud-based technology that really does deliver improved services and efficiencies. So we want this morning to acknowledge and thank the 4 departments who worked across boundaries to deliver this service to county employees. More than 5,000 people who work in the county in every corner of this enterprise called San Mateo County. So first, let's thank our County Controller, Juan Ragosa. I don't know if he is here. He had to step out. So thank you to Juan Ragosa. Obviously, thank you to Donna Valancourt, the Director of Human Resources. There she is in the back. Thank you, Donna. And also resources, obviously, John Walton, the ISD Director, was instrumental in making sure this project came in under budget and on time. Is John here? Okay. And finally, Deputy County Manager Reina Ferralis. Thank you for your contributions to this project. And I think, it was really a team effort, and everybody is to be thanked. I know this is not easy work, but everybody rolled up their sleeves. They remained focused on this big picture, on the vision for what this could do. And I think the unique thing was they were always asking, is this good for the customer, my customer, the workers of San Mateo County? And they just did a fantastic job of pulling that all together. And when you think about the consequences of something having gone wrong with that, you can imagine the situation where county workers didn't get a paycheck. So it's a testament to the team that everybody got paid, it all worked, it came in under budget and on time, and so thank the entire team for their leadership. I should recognize also the Solutions Committee, and in the interest of time, I actually have a little write-up for everybody, but I'm not going to go through the write-up and just recognize that everybody had a hand in this. First, Kathleen Boutte Foster, Patrick Enriquez, Mike Murphy, Lisa Okada, I'm not sure if I get this name right, Christine Pasquala, Teresa Raby, Susan Richards, and Assistant Controller Shirley Terrell. Thank you to all of you on the Solutions Committee. And there are a number of people on the team also. Let me just read their names quickly. Edwin Alvarez, Adrian Chi, Virginia Chow, Cecilia De Leon, Chris Doninger, Marabella Dover, Christian Feng, Marilyn Fisher, Peggy Jones, Ginny Keegan, Ursula, how did I get that right? Or at all close? Kovisdi, Emily Lamb, Jackie Nunez, Leela Tota, Leong Tran, and Kelly Yip Hong. How did I do? All right, thank you all. So I'm going to ask very able legislative assistant Maya Perkins to come and help me, and we'll call your name, and you come up, and we'll give you this very beautiful commendation. So Kathleen Boutte Foster and Noah Key. Patrick Enriquez. And you should just remain standing here so you can do the photo. How's that? Mike Murphy. Lisa Okada. Okay, Christy Pasalaka. Okay, thank you. Teresa Rady. Susan Richards. Susan Richards, is she here? Shirley Terrell, assistant control. Edwin Alvarez. Adrian Chi. Virginia Chow. Cecilia De Leon. Chris Doninger. Maribel Dover. Maribel Dover. She comes. Kristen Fang. Marilyn Fisher. Do not get these out of order. Peggy Jones. Jenny Keegan. Dorothy? Is she here? There she is. All right, Emily Lamb. Jackie Nunez. Layla. Long. Trent. And Kelly.
It takes a village.
All right, everybody. Picture time.
Can we scoot you guys this way? Oh, come on. Come on,
Should we thank them for increasing our paychecks?
More scooching.
3 or 4 deep, maybe.
More scooching. Come on, don't be afraid. job, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks again to all of you for all of your very, very hard work. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Thank you for letting us take a short break. We're back here with item number 9. Mr. Monowitz?
Appeal of a minor subdivision involving the split of an existing 12,902 square foot lot in Menlo Park, West Menlo Park that is, into 2 lots of 5,123 and 7,325 square feet in order to allow for the future construction of 2 homes. The board has some history with this project in that it approved the amendment to the subdivision regulations required to make the subdivision feasible. That happened in October of 2014. This slide shows the chronology of events that led to that hearing and to the current hearing on the appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to approve the minor subdivision made in February of this year. The subject lot is located on the corner of Alameda de las Pulgas and Sharon Road in unincorporated West Menlo Park, adjacent to the city of Menlo Park in an area comprised of single-family residences. This slide shows the configuration of the proposed lots and the portion of Lot A that will be dedicated for sidewalk improvements along Alameda de las Pulgas. The surrounding lots, such as those on the corners of Harrison Way and Alameda de las Pulgas, are of similar size and configuration as the lots proposed to be created on the subject lot, which is lot number 54 on the left-hand side of the photo. And if you look at the 2 corner lots along Harrison Way and Alameda de las Pulgas, they have a very similar size and configuration to that which is currently proposed by this application. In approving this subdivision, and as detailed by the staff report, the Planning Commission found that the project conforms to the general plan, zoning, and subdivision regulations, including standards for granting an exception, which will be the subject of my next few slides. The Planning Commission also certified the mitigated negative declaration that was prepared for the project pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. So as recently amended, the subdivision regulations allow exceptions to lot depth requirements only if the lot meets the following 3 criteria. It needs to be outside the coastal zone, outside of fire hazard areas, and on a corner. So the subject lot meets those 3 criteria. There are 3 findings to grant an exception to subdivision lot design requirements. The first is that there are special circumstances or conditions affecting the property, or that the exception is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights of the owner/subdivider. In this case, it's the latter that applies because the size of the proposed lots and the density of development is equivalent to that with the way in which surrounding properties are used. The 2 other required findings are that the exception is appropriate for the proper design and or function of the subdivision and will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or to other property or uses in the area. In this case, the granting of the exception will accommodate infill residential development in a manner that will function effectively, be compatible with other residences in the area, and not have any detrimental impacts to the public and surrounding properties. And with regard to the first finding, that the exception allows the property owner to make use of his property in a similar fashion to that which surrounding properties have been used, this slide shows that approximately 37 lots within a quarter-mile radius of the property have depths of less than 100 feet. Moving on to the issues raised by the appeal, the first is that the appeal contends that the proposed subdivision does not adhere to standards for subdivisions in the neighborhood and references subdivisions on Harrison and Crocus Courts as examples of subdivisions that provided a greater amount of parking. Those subdivisions were major subdivisions that involved the construction of new streets, which did provide new on-street parking spaces. The subdivision at hand does not necessitate the construction of new roads and has adequate street frontage to accommodate the driveways to future homes, which will be required to meet off-street parking requirements. The appeal also asserts that the subdivision does not respect the R1U zoning that exists in nearby areas of Menlo Park, and raises concern about the impact that this will have on the possibility of future annexation. Staff is not aware of any active effort by the City of Menlo Park to annex the area in which the proposed subdivision is located, and more importantly, we do not believe that the project will have any impact on possible future annexation because, among other reasons, the proposed lots are not materially different from other lots in the area in terms of size and density. This map, which shows that within a quarter-mile radius of the site, there are numerous lots that are less than 7,000 square feet in size, both in the unincorporated West Menlo Park area, shown in green, and the City of Menlo Park area, shown in purple. The next issue raised by the appeal has to do with the safety of pedestrians on Sharon Road and the desire of the appellant to see more street amenities and improvements before more infill is allowed. As previously noted, the subdivision will provide a new segment of sidewalk along its frontage onto Alameda de las Pulgas and is consistent with the density allowed by the county's general plan. While there may be additional road and pedestrian improvements desired by the neighborhood, this does not provide a basis to deny the subject application. The appeal also asserts that the project will result in 2 oversized homes that will change the character of the neighborhood. By applying setback requirements, height limits, and other zoning requirements to determine the building envelopes that can be supported by the new lots, staff estimates that the largest the 2 homes could be are approximately 2,832 square feet and 3,405 square feet, which is compatible with the size of other homes in the neighborhood. Returning to concerns about pedestrian safety, the appeal identifies that the 2 driveways associated with the subdivision are within 100 feet of a busy intersection and near a school bus stop. Staff consulted with school district staff to confirm that the project will not impact the school bus stop, and work with the Department of Public Works to determine that sidewalk improvements were appropriate along Alameda de las Pulgas, but not along Sharon Road. As previously stated, the appellant's desire for additional street improvements does not provide a basis to deny the subdivision. The appellant has also requested that the county prepare a master plan for West Menlo Park to guide future subdivisions and development. Staff believes that the existing general plan land use designations are appropriate for the area, and based on the largely built-out nature of West Menlo Park, do not see a significant need for a master plan. Finally, with regard to neighborhood character, the appeal raises concerns about the orientation of the homes, the amount of area available for landscaping, and privacy considerations. Specifically, the appeal contends that the side of the new homes may be as close as 5 feet from its neighbor and loom over the neighboring house. This slide shows that the required setbacks within the S72 zoning district, which are 20 feet at the front and rear, 5 feet on the interior sides, and 10 feet at the corner. This is consistent with the pattern of development throughout the neighborhood and will not result in any homes being closer than 10 feet apart with adequate room for yards and landscaping. So in conclusion, staff recommends that the board deny the appeal and uphold the decision of the Planning Commission to certify the mitigated negative declaration and approve the subdivision. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Questions for Mr. Marwitz?
Just
Supervisor Horsley?
a couple of questions. You talked about the 37 properties that have less than 100 feet depth. How did that happen was this prior to zoning?
Yeah, the subdivision is quite old, so many were created before we enacted the 100-foot depth requirement.
And on this particular lot, if we didn't subdivide, does that mean the owner would be, you have the ability to build a 6,000 square foot house, if I'm not mistaken?
I haven't done the calculations, but that'd be true that they could build one much larger house.
So if you looked at the 2,832 square feet of one and 3,404 square feet in the second, looks to me like you probably could build a single house of 6,000 square feet, a real monster house. Are there other lots that are available in the subdivision in West Menlo for being subdivided? Or I understand there's only one potential?
When we amended the subdivision regulations to allow for exceptions to lot depth, we added constraints to where those exceptions can be granted, and we wound up with 13 lots. The total number of potentially subdividable lots in West Menlo Park, yeah, that 13 is countywide. For West Menlo Park, just one.
There were essentially two, this one and one other. And
No, because there was one other within West Menlo Park that was of concern, and when we required that the exception be limited to corner lots, we specifically stated, we specifically referenced the definition of corner lot. And that definition, based on the width requirement, excluded the other corner lot in West Menlo Park from being eligible from the exception.
So there's no other lots?
That is my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Monowitz.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask J.R. Rodine. And how much time do you need, sir?
Like probably 5 minutes, 6 minutes, somewhere in there. I'll go quickly. The sheriff's threatened to arrest me if I go on too long, so. Yes, good afternoon, Madam President, Honorable Supervisors, Mr. Maltby and Mr. Byers. I have a very brief PowerPoint presentation. I'll try and flip through it very, very quickly. If I go too fast, please feel free to stop me. This is just basically a rendering of the corner of Alameda de las Pulgas and Sharon Road for the two-lot proposal. These will be the houses that we're proposing to build after the subdivision process is completed, subject to your approval today. The first lot, Lot A, is a smaller lot. You can see the lot size, and we actually have precise floor area ratio, and that house would be the net usable area, or the net living area is 2,586 feet. The proposed garage is 436, so you see a total square footage of 3,022 square feet. This is tied to building permit application. The number is set forth on the top on the header, and we anticipate that that will be completed very shortly. The second, Lot B, also references a specific building permit application that's already been reviewed and approved by Planning and Building. That shows a total, including the garage, of 3,601 square feet. This is the existing house, which needs to go. One more shot of that. This is the existing sidewalk on Alameda de las Pulgas. That will be transformed through the dedication of land by the Zomarodis and construction of a county standard sidewalk. This is the existing site for the 1940s era house. You can see with the red stripe the area that the Zomarodis will be dedicating and then constructing a sidewalk and dedicating that to the county. These are the precise footprints of both houses superimposed within the proposed two-lot parcel map, and they meet all setbacks and lot coverage standards. As Director Monowitz pointed out, and I failed to mention that I think the staff did an outstanding job in responding to all the 7 appeal points, so I won't repeat those. But there is absolutely no house that would be shadowed, that would shadow the neighbors that are set back 5 feet away. You can see their 20-foot front, 20-foot rear, and more than the codified side yard setbacks. These are colorized lots that in yellow that show the number in the immediate neighborhood of lots that were created that didn't have the full 100 feet of depth, and they're still very functional and provide housing. Okay, and the last point I'd like to make here is that the Zamarodis will propose a delineated roadway level walking path along the frontages of both Sharon Road lots to enhance pedestrian safety, even though a sidewalk wouldn't be required. We've engaged in conversation with Diana Shue and Richard Lee in Public Works, and they've said that that is satisfactory. We feel that it's important to have a delineated surface level walking path that will keep pedestrians closer to the property and off the outside of the main roadway. So we're willing to do that as a consideration. And then we simply encourage the Board of Supervisors to follow the Commission's unanimous approval of this project, deny the appeal, and also follow your staff's recommendations as set forth in the staff report, which contains the various conditions, findings, conditions, and just give you a real quick review. The street view from Sharon Road. This is an example of the type of surface level pathway that we'd like to install on Sharon Road as well, absent of curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. And that concludes my presentation. Hopefully I've stayed within the 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Be happy to answer any questions the board may have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rodin. We're going to hear from the appellant now, Corrine Pacifico. We'll give you 5 minutes also.
Thank you. I have lived in the neighborhood since 1998, and Don Horsley was my son's Little League coach. So we feel very much at home in West Menlo Park. My husband was at a meeting of the Board of Supervisors last May when they considered the decision to eliminate the 100-foot setback rule. And he came home and he said, they seem awfully anxious to accommodate this developer up at the corner. And he said it would be a real shame if this neighborhood was allowed to become, overdeveloped the way the county's allowed over in North Fair Oaks. So that's our concern. That little triangle of West Menlo Park is country, or it looked a lot more like country when we got there. It has the best public middle school in the state, and that's why we moved there, and it was really lovely. But it's very badly maintained by the county. The oversight by the county is appalling. So there are old rundown farmhouses that are allowed to stand, and I was troubled when I found dead rats outside one of them, decided I'd come over at the county and find out why our neighborhood is allowed to deteriorate like that when Menlo Park on either side of us is so beautiful. And the standard in Menlo Park is 7,000 square foot lots, and the standard is public sidewalks where the neighbors want them, rather than this constant fight of pleading, can we have services? So that's the anxiety. The problem, and one of my neighbors, Brian Schmidt, who works for Apple and can't be here today, wrote to you, Mr. Horsley, and said, I'm very concerned about my neighborhood. I don't know how to interact better with the county, but we want our views heard. And your reply to him was pretty unsympathetic. We are trying to interact with the county. And what happens is that because the county does such a bad job of maintaining our little neighborhood, that developers like Mr. Zamorod and Mr. Rodine feel that they can massage the rules to maximize the profit out of what they're doing. So the county rule that you changed for Mr. Zamorodine's benefit takes that lot, 12,000 square foot lot, and it makes it so that he can now build and sell $2.5 million houses instead of one $4 million house. So that's a lot of economic benefit you've handed him with a rule change. And my feeling about it is we would like development, we'd like the neighborhood to look better, we would like streetlights and other public services that we don't get because we're not part of Menlo Park. We've started a petition And we haven't filed the request for a pre-survey, but we have made a survey of the neighborhood, including Sharon Road, and it's almost unanimous that we'd sooner be overseen by the city than the county because of the appalling job the county's done of maintaining standards on our streets. Sharon Road happens to be the worst maintained street of Menlo Park, if it would go in. They've come over and looked and said, oh my goodness, you know, this road is in such bad shape. And that's the county's responsibility. So the neighborhood has a concern with county oversight, but the only chance we really have to tell you that is when a developer decides to flaunt the rules or try to get a rule change, then we come and say, no, no, no. We want our neighborhood maintained. We want it improved, not made worse. And so Sharon Road is full of young families. Those are older houses, and in your housing stock, you actually need to have some houses that aren't $2.5 million because the average policeman, fireman, or school teacher, or in my case, my children, the doctors, can't afford the houses that are that expensive on a salary. So maintaining that middle-class housing stock is important, and we would like to see the neighborhood develop that way. But we would like some way to interact with the planning department that's sympathetic to the neighborhood. So the suggestion was a master plan where the neighbors are included in the planning, not just Mr. Rodine. One of my neighbors wanted me to tell you that the new project allows 2 driveways in the 2 new homes, doubling the probability of an accident on the corner. I have a serious concern for the children and pedestrian safety. Sharon Road does not have sidewalks or lighting. Backing out of a driveway this close to the Alameda presents a danger to the new homeowners, to pedestrians, to children, and all the other cars using the street. It's a very busy thoroughfare on all hours of the day and evening, especially rush hour where people are cutting across to try and get onto Oakdale. Cars are constantly accelerating at the traffic light at Sharon Road and Alameda to try and make the light and turn onto Sharon Road. I have lived in this neighborhood for 30 plus years, and that corner is dangerous. Many times cars have lost control and run into fences and trees. You can visit the property and see the large number of concrete blocks the former owner stockpiled in order to protect his house. So while I thought the job by the planning department was thorough in addressing my points, what I don't think that they appreciated was how hard a time we've had interacting with them to have our concerns heard, and that the young families on Sharon Road, and I feel that I'm a spokesman for them, need that street to be safer for children before you do more infill. It needs to be safer for pedestrians. I lost my husband in November. He was 56 years old. He was biking up on an old Honda road, and he had a heart attack. That house is my estate, is his estate. It is what I'm going to live on in retirement, and it's very important to me. And so that's why I keep coming to these endless long meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pacifico. Gregory Ferris, 2 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Let me first say I'm not opposed to infill, but the infill belongs near transit and walkable space. And this cutting up things where it's already a mess. I mean, this area was developed when there wasn't the traffic there is now. Now the traffic is a nightmare. And particularly our little triangle, which is surrounded by the Alameda and Santa Cruz Avenue, very heavily trafficked. And then Sharon, as Karen has just pointed out, also very heavily trafficked. And what I support Karen in her concept of having a master plan for West Menlo Park, so things can be done with some sort of plan. And frankly, I'm quite disturbed that the rules for the whole county can be changed to suit what one developer needs in order to make more money. That's not the county that I want to live in. And then specifically about Sharon Road, Karen mentioned a bit about it. You should drive down it sometime if you haven't. There's speed bumps on Sharon Road, and below those speed bumps are deep grooves where all the cars have bottomed out as they rush to get down that road. Those grooves are quite deep. I mean, I'm talking about this deep. That intersection is 1 block from the school. I would hope that in the future children can walk to school, but if there are two driveways there right on that corner, my kids actually walk to school. I've lived in this property on Santa Cruz Avenue since 1995. I've been in the county since 1988. I wouldn't want my kids to walk there now. I'm glad that you've put in the surface pathway. It should be a sidewalk with a curb to protect the children, and it's making us less safe, and we need to do something for those children. And just one final thing, if you don't live where we do, when cars try to pull out onto these busy streets, they have to slam on the accelerator to get out. And if there's a child there, there's going to be a problem. And you need to do something about that now, and not just say later on, well, we didn't know. Okay, I'm telling you about Sharon Road. I'm telling you about the intersection.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Linda Barman. Leigh Rogers.
Thank you to the Board of Supervisors and everyone who's made time to be here as we kind of wrestle with what our community issues are. I think there are two really big red flags about this Sharon subdivision. The first is that the rules had to be changed countywide. They weren't eligible for an exception, so they changed the rules. Doesn't that make you ask questions? If there's enough money behind it, we do change our rules. I think you've heard from the neighbors, not just at this meeting, but from many others. We're worried about school children. We're worried about people walking their dogs. This is not the place to make an exception. Not on this corner, not on the Alameda, where people hardly slow down as they turn right. You're not getting enough information for your decision. I encourage you to consider that red flag as well as the second red flag. There may not be an application in with LAFCO, but there is. We've met with the city 4 times. There's almost a unanimous discontent with what's happening in our part of West Menlo. Please listen to that. Take a deeper look at this. Don't be railroaded into it. I know there's an inertia to a decision that's been going on this long, but you deserve to get the facts on this. You deserve to know more. Come on down and look at this space and see what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Gil Workman.
Good morning, Supervisors. I'm Gil Workman. I live at 2060 Sharon Road, right across from the 2099 lot we're discussing. I've been a teacher at Cañada College of San Mateo County history for 35 years till I retired some time back. That's why I've met many of you over the years and had my classes down here. And I'm just here this morning, though, to request that you do not approve this subdivision of the lot there on the corner. It's just would change, as you can see from Mr. Rodine's pictures, it would change the entire nature of that county strip along the Alameda of the neighborhood down Sharon Road. I've talked to most of my neighbors on Lucky and Liberty Park as well as Sharon, and they're all in agreement. We'd like to keep the rural feeling, the rural character of that area, with taking out the linden trees along Sharon, with having to put 2 large double garages just 20 feet off the edge of the road. It would be, I don't know if this is an actual word or not, but it would be the citification of the county strip along Alameda and including the Sharon Road properties that are there. Again, my wife and I have lived there for 50 years. Our kids went through the Los Lomitas schools. Our grown children, our grandchildren are playing in the trees right, probably as I talk right now. They're out from East Coast, but they're here to enjoy that same rural character of Sharon Road and the county strip along Alameda. In addition, when I'm making my coffee in the morning, I look out, so there's 24 kids with their backpacks going up the road there, their bicycles, some of them escorted by their parents, and it's just an awful lot of traffic on there. There's 10 school buses twice a day that go down there and back and forth to the schools. So again, I urge you as supervisors of our county to keep the conditions as they have been and should be kept.
Mr. Workman,
Thank you.
any further questions or?
I do have a comment, something that concerns me. First off, I don't believe these two lots would be considered overly developed, but I am concerned when I heard that this area has been badly maintained by the county. And I guess I have two questions. One, why are we not looking at it more closely? And two, are we utilizing code enforcement? When I looked at the existing lot with this house, that was not a very good look at that house either, and I would say that that should have had some work. I think what they're doing is trying to improve those lots, and I think that's what this development would do. But I am concerned when I hear things about that we're not maintaining the area and we're not utilizing code enforcement. There's houses that are dilapidated in the area and things like that. You know, that is a nuisance, and that concerns me greatly.
So we are primarily a complaint-based code compliance program. That is, we respond to the complaints we get. We have not, to my knowledge, received complaints regarding the homes in this area, but I can say that we're not barred from pursuing cleanup on lots that we believe have become nuisances. And so I will have our code compliance staff investigate the area and follow up on any properties that we believe are in a nuisance state.
I guess my second question, what I'm hearing here is people indicating we've changed the rule for this development. What I recall when we changed the rule, it was countywide because one of our main goals is to increase the housing stock, not just around transit centers, which is obviously where we can get greater density, but trying to increase the housing stock in general because of the lack of supply in the county.
That is true. Yes.
I just want to clarify that because this isn't for one person. This was something, anywhere we can look to increase housing, we've been trying to do that here at the county. So, but I guess my bigger concern really is the fact that we need to go out there and take a look. I mean, today I think we heard a pretty big complaint.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Slocum.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple quick things. Following up on Supervisor Tissier's point, as I recall that conversation, there were 13 parcels throughout the county that might fall under this category. Is that right?
That is correct.
And weren't the majority of those, it seems to me, or many of those in the area known as North Fair Oaks?
There were. In fact, my former secretary, Heather, sent me the chart that gives the breakdown, which I can give you the numbers here, if you'll bear with me.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. One in Broadmoor, 2 in Devonshire, 3 in North Fair Oaks, 5 in the Sequoia Track, 1 in unincorporated Colma, and the subject lot in West Menlo Park.
Yeah. Thank you. And then the other, I just was a little confused when somebody said you'd turn right. This parcel that we're talking about, is it on the west side of Alameda?
Yeah, let's see. I can call it up on the exhibit here.
The southeast corner.
That's right.
Okay. I know I've driven by there. I've driven down Sharon Road. I just was a little confused. Thank you. That's good. No more questions.
Supervisor Horsley.
Just the original proposal actually was about 100 and some odd potential lots throughout the whole county, and we reduced it down to the 13th specifically because we wanted to preserve West Menlo. And it ended up only as one as the potential. But I'm curious about, that we asked the Department of Public Works to look at Sharon Road for the traffic, and I guess the one speaker talked about the speed bumps and people going over so fast that they're bottoming out.
I will be having that conversation this afternoon. Yeah.
Other questions?
Supervisor Pine.
I just wanted to briefly echo Supervisor Tissier's call for us to really bring more focus and concentration on our code enforcement. I've had some number of discussions about that privately, and I think we really need to think of looking at the whole situation afresh, because I don't think our current staffing and approach is anywhere near adequate to meet the needs we have in our county.
Okay. What's your pleasure?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to deny the appeal and to, don't have the exact verbiage here, certify the negative deck and approve the minor subdivision and exception to the lot design standards.
Okay,
And also to make, just to add one thing, I assume that includes to make the required findings and adopting the conditions of approval as well.
That's correct.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, approved.
Can I ask, do we have a report back from DPW on Sharon Road and both the traffic situation, traffic safety?
And perhaps code enforcement as
And
well.
code enforcement as well?
Okay, yes. All right, now we're going to go to item number 10 has been continued, so we're going to go to item number 11.
Good morning, Supervisor Groom, members of the board, and Mr. Malpe. This item before you is to hold a public hearing and to consider approval of the annual action plan for the Housing Community Development Unit of the Department of Housing. This is covers the Community Development Block Grant Funds, Home Funds, and Emergency Solutions Grant Funds that come to the county. It will be for the year starting July 1. And you have the memo, but there has been a process, of course, to this. Your Housing Community Development Commission met to set priorities at the end of last year and then met twice more, once as a study session for all applications and then as a public hearing with all of the applicants. Staff analyzed all of the applications and made recommendations. This year is a little bit simple in the sense that we're in the second year of a two-year cycle. So all of the grants for public services, for example, are continuing. There are adjustments made depending on the actual amount of the federal grant, but those are continuing within the two-year cycle. And then we did have available some capital funds, and that's for recommended for 3 projects. First is for the Habitat for Humanity ownership, below market rate ownership project in Redwood City, $500,000, which will make a total of $1 million now for Habitat for that project from the county. About $50,000 per unit. There's 20 units projected. And the second is for Mid-Penn Housing's Gateway project, the first phase of that redevelopment, which would increase the number of units, almost doubling it. There's $1 million there. And then third is from the city of East Palo Alto, which is part of the urban county that receives these funds along with the county and the 16 smaller cities. $700,000 to the city's putting in a like amount, and it's to complete the work on the Gloria well, which is a very needed project within EPA that they've been working on for several years to upgrade the water from that well, working with the US EPA and others to ensure its potability. And this actually does need to be a public hearing. I'm sorry, the written introduction wasn't quite correct.
Okay, thank you. We do have a couple speakers. David Carducci.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. Thank you for this opportunity. Just speak on behalf of Legal Aid Society of San Mateo County. I just wanted to use this opportunity. You're more than well aware of the housing crisis and the difficulty that the high rents are causing for low and moderate income folks. I just wanted to give you a couple examples of cases, people I'm helping right now that are affected by these, the high rents. Anna is a young single mother. She survives on CalWorks, low income, about $500 or $600 a month to support herself and her family. The good news is she has a Section 8 voucher and was one of the fortunate ones to find a landlord to rent to her with that Section 8 voucher. The bad news was when the landlord realized how much more rent he could get on this particular unit that couldn't be supported under the Section 8 program, he decided to charge about $800 under the table each month so he could make extra profit on that unit. I don't know how she did it, but for a couple months she was able to scrape together that money and make those under the table payments. Then she came to see us and get some legal advice on that, and we're currently helping her with that situation. Second story I want to mention is Tom is a developmentally disabled gentleman. He too has a Section 8 voucher. With a live-in caregiver, he's able to live independently and rent a home. However, again, with the rents going up, landlord for Tom realized she can get a lot more money on the unit she's renting to him, more than she can get through the housing Section 8 program. And now she's seeking to evict Tom, this developmentally disabled man who's found stability for about the past 7 years in this home, so that she can, maximize the profit she gets on that unit. We're working with Tom to, one, just make sure his rights are respected, and two, also working with that landlord to find ways and solutions where the landlord can get increased income on the property and also keep Tom in his home. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Hendricks?
Good morning, Board. Thank you so much for inviting us here today. I'm with Peninsula Volunteers, and we're here to basically thank you for the support that you've given us through these funds for our Meals on Wheels program. These funds have been vital in helping us provide fresh food for our most vulnerable residents, which is our aging population who often cannot advocate for themselves. So we want to thank you so much. This provides fresh food and also safety checks for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is Stacy Lawman here? Stacy Lawman was from Habitat for Humanity and thinks she had to leave, so she also wanted to make a comment. So that's all the speakers we have. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2015-16 annual action plan, approve the addition of the city of San Mateo to the urban county for the home fund, and authorize the director of Department of Housing or is designated to execute the contracts as approved by county council for the programs and projects as indicated in the annual action plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lowell. The sheriff has agreed to let us skip his item and go directly to item 14. Mr. County Manager.
Madam President, members of the board, this particular item recognizes the Byron JAG grant that the county has received for approximately $800,000 over the next 2 years. The action before you today actually places the money for the remainder of this fiscal year in the appropriate accounts and enters into an agreement with Live in Peace. I also want to thank Mr. Callaghy, who's in the audience and can answer any questions for the work that he did in securing this grant.
Mr. Callaghy, are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to say a few words?
Very quickly. Good morning, President Groom and honorable board members, Mr. Malpe, Mr. Byers. Plato once said, "The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future." Our collective objective with students with amazing goals is to ensure each child in East Palo Alto and the Bellhaven area of Menlo Park has a very bright future. Currently, we can't always say that's the case. We know now 50% of the kids in East Palo Alto or in high school do not graduate from high school. The other 50%, only 15% of those take the A to G core curriculum classes that allow them to go to a UC or a state school. Students with amazing goals, otherwise known as SWAG, really has, and the partners have determined that we want to make a change in this area. And SWAG is not a program, but really a roadmap to success. Yes, tutoring goes on at SWAG, but it's much more than that. It's really a holistic program that really offers the kids there tutoring, mentoring, credit recovery, counseling, jobs, recreation, college exposure, life mapping, and all that can be found in this SWAG program. We take each child and offer them a multidisciplinary approach to individualize their experience at SWAG. I'd just like to say that this couldn't have been done without your vision and the leadership. Supervisor Slocum, your aide certainly had
Maya Perkins is a great asset to this team. And I got to say that though the Golden State Warriors have a great team, I honestly believe that we had the dream team that put this together. And I just want to recognize them very quickly. This steering committee consisted of a very diverse and accomplished group of professionals dedicated to reducing truancy and increasing the graduation rate. And on that team, we had Mayor Lisa Gaucher from East Palo Alto, Mayor Ray Mueller from Menlo Park, the police chiefs from East Palo Alto and Menlo Park, representatives from our own sheriff's office, the city manager, Carlos Martinez from East Palo Alto. The juvenile justice court was on board here. The superintendent of Sequoia Union High School District, Jim Leonidas, who gave us the location at Green Street. Our superintendent of Ravenswood School District, One East Palo Alto with Dr. Fay and Sharifa Wilson. Mayor Pastor Frazell, the San Mateo County District Attorney's Office, the Private Defender Program, HSA, and Probation. You can see this wonderful team. But last and certainly not least is our outstanding partner, Live in Peace, represented by Heather Snarns, who's here today. Live in Peace will run the day-to-day operations of this program, and they have been in East Palo Alto, they know, running the Coding Academy. They're an outstanding group. They'll be the driving force behind SWAG. We're very anxious to work with them. And I would just ask, they've been here all morning waiting. If I could briefly call up Mayor Lisa Gaucher and Heather Stearns for just a quick comment, that would be terrific. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Groom, to the Board of Supervisors, to County Manager Maltby. This opportunity will do some great things. Last week, I had an opportunity while I was in Washington, D.C., to sign up for President Barack Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative, which improves the outcomes for young men and boys of color in our communities. What this program will do will align East Palo Alto and the County of San Mateo under the President's initiative. By 4 of the initiatives that he's trying to improve would be to improve the graduation rates, high school rates, for our students, and to make sure that they're able to go to college and have a career. The next one would be completing post-secondary education and training, and then successfully entering the workforce. Finally, this initiative will help to reduce the violence and give these individuals a second chance. I just want to thank you for your continued support for East Palo Alto, and just ask that you approve this resolution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor, for being here this morning.
Thanks. I'll be quick because you guys have heard a lot. We're just excited and humbled and grateful. So we look forward in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years to reversing a trend that has become too familiar in East Palo Alto of higher dropout rates and lower long-term success. And so because we're able to host this at the same place that we have the Street Code Academy, we're able to bring innovation in ways that I think we're going to see kids that should have been technical dropouts, going to be innovators, academics, and live positive long-term lives. So thank you, and we look forward to reporting back great things for you. Thanks.
Let me just thank Mayor Gaucher for being here this morning. She is, as you know, a very hardworking mayor. And Mike, thank you. I've never seen you talk so fast. Thank you for your presentation and all the work on this, and for the collaborative team. That was really unique. You brought all those partners and players together, and we ended up with SWAG, and we got the grant, and it's just awesome. And I look forward to participating in the future. And just a thank you for all your work and for the committee's work. Thank you all.
Good stuff.
I'll go ahead and move approval of item A and B.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will go to item 13, which is a resolution authorizing the sheriff to build out the first floor shell of the Maple Street Correctional Center. Thank you, Sheriff, for letting that item go ahead of you.
That was actually worth the wait. That's a great program, and I applaud you for your leadership on that. Oops. Okay. Thank you, President Groom, honorable board members, Mr. Malpe, Mr. Byers. I'm here today to report back on some analysis we've done on our correctional system and make some recommendations based on the anticipated completion of our new jail project, some changes in state law, and the resultant changes to our population. Just by way of review, the Maple Street Correctional Center, it's slated to be completed before the end of the year. It's currently on budget, and as you will recall, it was designed to replace the outdated and overcrowded women's facility, all of the Maple Street facilities, and relieve overcrowding in our men's system. As part of that project, we had planned on leaving the ground floor vacant. We've referred to that as the warm shell. The idea was we were going to have that for future expansion. We were going to examine possible uses for that facility. We've talked, we had a number of meetings and outreach. We worked with the county manager's office, and I know board members were involved in that process to look at possible uses for that ground floor. One of the things that we discovered, we kind of knew this going in, that it would require several $1 million of tenant improvements to make that space usable for community-based organizations. As we looked at that, and there was a lot of interest in it, by the way. There's a lot of ideas and some innovative options that we considered. But we also started to take a look at the kind of centralized model versus a decentralized model. I know that you, along with Service Connect, have done some work in East Palo Alto with the David Lewis Center. And through that process, we kind of started thinking about perhaps a more decentralized model might be preferable, but I'll come back to that in a minute. At the same time, we were doing our analysis of the grant award that we got under SB 1022. As you recall, we received a $24 million grant to do some improvements to the old McGuire. We were going to initiate a mental health wellness pod again, this was pre-Prop 47, kind of post-realignment. And we were having problems having adequate space for our mentally ill inmates, given the overcrowding that was present in our men's system. So we took a look at that funding. It was about $24 million. And what we discovered was in order to do the improvements to Old McGuire that we wanted to, it was going to cost us an additional $21 million in county funding to meet the state's requirements on earthquake upgrades and the fact that they take the whole facility as one. So not only would we have to make those improvements to Old McGuire, because it's connected to the McGuire Tower, we'd have to make the same, we'd have to do the entire facility. So it became kind of cost prohibitive. And while it is a very laudable goal, we think that we can accomplish the same thing through some other alternatives. So you might recall a while ago the board asked me to work with county manager's office and 2 board members and take a look at our whole system in light of all these things that were going on, the Prop 47 realignment, the new jail coming online, and SB 1022. What we learned, in addition to the expense related to accepting that SB 1022 award, we came to the realization that if we built out the ground floor now, as opposed to waiting, it would cost us about $25 million. As soon as we cease the project, as soon as we complete the new jail project, that price to build out jumps significantly. And that's due to a number of factors, not the least of which is changes to Title 24 that have more stringent requirements for building. It also takes into account the fact that once we take all the subs and all the contractors off site, that is a significant expense. And just the natural escalation of construction so our best estimate is that if we finish the project now and then went to do the warm shell at a later date, even as early as 2 years out, it would double in cost. It'd be about $52 million.
So, taking all that into consideration, what we have come up with a conclusion that rather than take the $21 million on top of the 24 we get from the state and invest it in the old McGuire, which is a outdated and older facility, that it would make more sense to invest that same amount of money, roughly, into the new facility, get the warm shell done while we're still on site, and then take old McGuire offline completely and repurpose that facility. So I'm here today to make some recommendations based on the work of that committee and based on discussions that I've had with the county manager's office and with board members. First, the medium security facility in La Honda, I think I've reported to you before. That facility, that location has kind of outlived its usefulness. I'm suggesting that we take that offline completely. I've met with the head of the Parks Department, and Marlene is interested in figuring out a way to transfer that facility to the parks. I'll leave that to the county and the board to determine, but our recommendation would be to transfer that to the parks. The second recommendation is to reject the SB 1022 award, given the fact that it would cost us so much more and we'd be investing in an old facility, and I believe that we can do the same kind of mental health programming in the new facility, given the fact that we now have more capacity there. To invest in that warm shell, to get that done now while we are on site and while we can take advantage of today's dollars. It will never be cheaper to build that out than it is right now. And then the final recommendation is to take old McGuire jail offline, to take a look at how we can repurpose that facility. And the item that you approved on the consent has some dollars in there that we can use in conjunction with other work that we have to do at McGuire to take a look at what are the possible uses for old McGuire. That completes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Sheriff. Questions? Supervisor Pine?
Thank you, Sheriff Monks, and thanks for the time you spent with me and your team and providing me with some of the information I requested. It was very helpful. So I just had two questions. Can you talk a little bit more about when we build out the warm shell, what we're going to be able to do with it, or what it means for the overall functioning of Maple Street? Because we're not just going to build it out and leave it empty, I don't believe. I mean,
Well,
so I know
yeah.
how does the whole Maple Street configuration change now that we build out when we build out this warm shell?
So essentially what we'll be doing is replacing the 280 beds that are in the
Right.
McGuire, old McGuire, with 256 beds
Right.
that are there. Now, our plan all along was not to fully occupy the new facility. So most likely when we first open it, that ground floor would not be occupied.
Right.
So in the immediacy, it doesn't really change. But what we want to do is explore some of the ideas that we had for Old McGuire, like a mental health wellness pod.
Yeah, because that was the exciting thing about the state grant was
Right.
we were going to try to move in that direction, and
Yeah.
it would be my hope that with the additional capacity in Maple that we
Yes,
figure out a way to get there.
We will continue to pursue that. We think it's a good idea, and whether we do it on the first floor or the second floor, we'll have to see how how it all shakes out. But essentially, the top floor will be the women's floor.
Right.
First floor will be men, and that's how we plan to use it.
Okay, and then my second question: could you just talk kind of in general terms about how inmates will be, what type of inmates will be housed where? So because we have two facilities,
Sure.
and the whole environment has changed, and
Right.
and so when everything is said and done and everything is settled out, what sort of folks are going to be in each of the facilities? Again, on a kind of a high level.
Sure. Initially, we talked about a sentenced facility and an unsentenced facility, but the way our numbers work, it's not quite that clean. So generally speaking, the more serious disciplinary, assaultive inmates will be at the McGuire facility. That's our maximum security. That's where we have our administrative segregation, our maximum security. That will be at that facility. People that have frequent court cases, if they're going to be going to and from court, will be there because the proximity to the court and the ease of bringing people across the bridge. What we want to use the Maple Street facility for is programming for people that are here for a longer period of time, people that are amenable to programming. So in a perfect sense, or in a kind of a theoretical sense, inmates would come in first. They'd be at McGuire initially. That's where they would get their initial. Everybody has to go through certain exams, whether it's medical, mental health, TB tests, things that they have to do initially before they get put into general population. All that will occur at the McGuire. Once they are cleared for general population and housing, then our classification unit will determine where best they should be housed. If it's someone that's going to be here for a while, if there's someone that is, through our assessment process, open to or amenable to some sort of programming, they'll most likely will be over here on Maple or over there on Maple Street. If right now, due to realignment, we've seen kind of a hardening of our population, so we have more people in administrative segregation now than we have in the past. So these are disciplinary cases. These are gang members, people that are actively engaged in criminal activity through the gang. So those people generally are going to stay at McGuire. It's a higher security, and it's it's designed better for that type of segregation as opposed to the new facility where we have more multiple occupancy dorms where we can put people that are engaged in programs, and each dorm has much more classroom space, treatment space, program space, and then so ideally they would step down. They'd start in McGuire, they'd come over to Maple Street and start going into programs, and then ultimately our goal would be get them into the transitional housing beds, which we have 88 of those in the new facility, and that's where they can do work furlough, they can do job training furlough, where they can leave during the day, go to job train, they can leave, go to perhaps classes at the junior college, they could go to work if we can get them into jobs, and that's that's kind of the exciting part of that whole process. So does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Supervisor Horsley?
Just had one other question. Greg, or otherwise Sheriff, the old McGuire facility, it pretty much, I would assume it's still going to have some kind of a sheriff's function. Have you thought about how you might repurpose it?
Well, we've thought some ideas. One idea would be as a potential sheriff's office site that we could move our because we're kind of spread out all over this building. We have patrol downstairs. We've got administration and investigations upstairs. So one of the things we'd like to look at is, would it make sense, would it be possible to move our operations into that facility? That way it's kind of consistent with the jail being there. We're going to have to keep that fourth floor with the bridge and all that as a secure area. So that's something that might be compatible. If not, then we certainly want to work with the county to see if there's other, similar to what we were talked about with the warm shell, things that would help support the kinds of things we're trying to accomplish within. So whether it's programming, we've talked about some of the vocational stuff, maybe a cafe or a retail kind of deal where we could have inmates working to get job skills. But I mean, ideally, if we could get a sheriff's office presence over there, that would be my preference.
I just commend you on the looks of the facility, of the new facility. It's really beautiful, and I'm really glad that you talked about the towers, a higher security level, having had a small part in that.
Yes, and a fine part indeed.
Sheriffs do not like to have escapes.
No, we have a pretty good record, so.
Just to add to Greg's response to Supervisor Horsley, one of the things that it does is it gives us a little more flexibility on the campus in terms of space, because we're really overcrowded, as you well know. So by having this facility, whether the sheriff moves over there, frees a sheriff's space in this building, so it really does give us a lot of options that I think are really welcome right now.
All right, anything else?
Just a quick comment. Carol and I were on that subcommittee that kind of had to look at you know, things are changing now with Prop 47 and all types of different things, and with the new building. And it, as difficult as it was to make a decision not to take this SB 1022 funding, the reality is this is probably a much better move for us, both financially, and this new facility is going to have great multi-purpose areas, computer labs, classroom space. It's all those things we want in the facility that's going to assist those in need. So this just adds another layer of those capabilities on that first floor. So I thank you for that, thinking outside the box, and I look forward to the whole facility being done by the end of the year. So, and with that, unless there's any other comments, I'll make a motion to.
One more for
Oh, I'm
Supervisor
sorry.
Pine.
Yeah, I just would like to take a moment and share a couple of thoughts. Yeah, I am going to support the proposal, but you know, I do have you know, some reservations, and just want to express some of my thoughts here. It's hard for me to invest more money into prison construction, and there's, you know, we have a mismatch now between the number of beds and the number of inmates. You know, in June, and again, we can go briefly review why. A lot of it wasn't predictable. But in June 2013, we had 1,066 inmates, 941 men, 125 women. Today, 861 total, 781 men, only 80 women. So, you know, it's a big change. So, you know, Prop 47 obviously came along. You know, the end of ICE holds came along. I think we've done a great job with realignment. I think some of our programs are working. I think we've shown that we can reduce recidivism. So all those things, and certainly Prop 47 was a big driver of this, you know, have created this mismatch. So that's where it is. Because on the facility side, you know, once we build out Maple, we'll have 792 beds there by my count. McGuire will drop to 400 when you take out Old McGuire. So by my math, we'll have about 1,192 beds and about 861 inmates. So anyway, but putting that aside for a minute, I am supportive of what we're doing, because I think if we do leave it as is, it's not going to be a productive space. I mean, we gave a really good try on this warm shell concept. And we really did try hard, and we talked to a lot of CBOs. And you know, I think there were some, again, everything's easier in hindsight, some inherent challenges. You know, one is, I think there was a lot of reluctance for CBOs to be, you know, underneath the jail. And then the configural space had its challenges, as you spoke to. But, you know, it doesn't just make sense to just leave it like that. And if we ever are going to use this warm shell, this is the time to build it out because of this stark difference in price. I mean, we're talking $24.4 million now versus $51.4 million in a couple of years. So, you know, I'm really pleased to hear the sheriff, you know, his remarks about, you know, with this extra build out, you know, being able to potentially do more things with mental health and improve even further this facility, which we've all, you know, have such high hopes for, and we've invested a lot of time and energy in, again, with the hopes of helping to reduce recidivism. But, you know, finally, and I know I'm probably maybe a lone voice on this, but, you know, I believe a day will come when we will not need McGuire. And I think 5 years from now, that our inmate numbers will be lower than they are today, maybe substantially so, and that's for three reasons. The demographics in the county are changing. We are an aging population. Also, unfortunately, you know, we are gentrifying the county. You know, secondly, if you look at youth crime trends and the number of folks at the juvenile hall, those are way, way down. And most importantly, I mean, we have, as a board and as everyone in this county is so committed to reducing recidivism. I mean, we're building this new jail. We're doing all these great programs. You know, I think this stuff's going to work. And if it works, I think those numbers will come down. So, again, that's a dream I'm going to hold out. I want to be on this board of supervisors for a long time to come. I hope to see a day when that occurs. So anyway, this is a complicated situation. It's been a changing landscape. I had reservations about the size of the jail initially, but you know, maybe in the long run, I'll be very happy. So with that, I support the proposal, and again, I appreciate the sheriff's time talking me through all the details.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now that we've kept you happy, I'm going to make a motion.
I could be happy.
Could be happier, but happy today. I'll move the item and
Second.
the appropriation transfer.
Sorry, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much, Sheriff. Now we'll go to item number 15, County Manager's Report.
Madam President, members of the board, due to the lateness of the hour, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, what time is it? Any questions for the county?
Are we doing Measure A today?
Yeah.
Yeah, any questions for the county manager?
Is that the item now?
Now we're going to go to item 16, which is the report, accept report and direct staff to include continuing Measure A initiatives into the 2015-2017 budget cycle.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Maltby, Mr. Byers. I think standing over here makes people talk more quickly, so I'll go through the
We're not setting the
recommendations.
timer, Raina.
Okay, all right, cool. So, good morning. This is a continuation of implementing the Measure A allocation plan that your board adopted on March 17th. This package contains the continuing Measure A initiatives. We've provided a list of those initiatives as well as some detail in the packet. We are recommending the continuation of almost all of the initiatives and expansion of a few of them, including the prevention and early intervention for at-risk children, mental health system of care for adults, coastside medical services, and library summer reading programs. And your board will receive more detail on these expansions and the other continuing initiatives as part of the budget. And then also included in this packet are the criteria and the process for the district-specific needs and one-time loans and grant funds. If you remember, on March 17th, we had recommended the creation of a one-time pool of funds, a total of $5 million, which is $1 million for each board district, as well as $1 million each year, divided equally among the board districts for those initiatives that where we did have submittals of letters of intent, but will not be funded. This provides the opportunity for the board to close any gaps in services in their particular districts, and there's also in the cases where there's an emergency or unforeseen circumstances, the funds can also be used by the board as long as it is brought to the full board for approval. So the process for bringing the items for approval is it will go through the county manager's report on the regular agenda before any contracts and projects are executed and implemented. And then the last piece in this packet is the request for proposals for legal services. We did submit a draft to the Measure A Subcommittee. Supervisors Slocum and Tissier received their feedback, so we're incorporating those changes and planning to issue that in the next 2 weeks. And as far as the rest of the process for Measure A, we will be bringing contracts to the board over the next 2 months in May and June for the new initiatives as well as the continuing initiatives. And then you'll be seeing capital, parks, and IT projects as part of the budget. That concludes my presentation, Madam President. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions?
Just a comment. Generally, I thought we did an excellent job at really putting this all together. I did after this morning when we had all those speakers about our common ground and Project 90. I know the county manager is going to come back with a report. But, I am sympathetic to their funding crisis, and so we should get some additional information at that. But in any case, I know that they did not make the first round in Measure A. So I'm really going to be looking forward to seeing if there's some potential general fund to make sure that they are able to keep their doors open. I think those programs are incredibly important to people with substance abuse problems.
Yeah, I think that I certainly second that, and I think the rest of us do too. It's unfortunate that the federal government has changed the rules in midstream, the amount, the size of a facility. And are we working on that through our local congressional delegation?
I can't answer that question. I know we're dealing with the issue locally, but I'll check with Connie.
Okay, thank you.
Gina's working on it.
What, because we have, I mean, if we are working on it, it would be kind of nice to know, so maybe we could.
Gina's working on it. I think.
Okay.
That's right.
She's also
Good afternoon. In fact, that issue, the issue of the 16 beds, has been resolved favorably. So that's actually excellent news. What unfortunately, the next barrier we are facing is that the state has put in, as we had predicted, a waiver to the federal government asking them to waive a couple of the rules. We believe that will be acted on favorably, but the state is moving with excruciating even slower than excruciating slowness to certify drug providers. You may or may not be aware there was some fraud found among drug treatment providers in Southern California, and it has just brought the pace of certification literally down to a standstill. We have almost no providers who've managed to get through that process. We are trying to help them, but it's quite worrisome, and this is one of the reasons for the funding gap.
Can I ask a quick question? So Project 90 and Our Common Ground have to go back through certification, or are they already certified?
They have to go through certification. Substance use treatment was not actually a Medi-Cal benefit, so one of the wonderful things about the Affordable Care Act in the way that California implemented it is that it is a benefit. So technically, drug treatment should have been available starting January 1st, 2014, but because of this, first of all, the waiver, which is some rules between the state and federal government, but also the certification process, it's not a real benefit right now. And so there isn't Medi-Cal money. And you were very kind to give the health system money to help the providers tide over this year, because we thought it's only a year. But now the year is up and we're still waiting.
Okay, thank you.
So I assume that, Ms. Frazier, you and your staff, and are you working with Connie to make sure that we're constantly in the talking to the state?
Absolutely. I should say I think the state is very much in alignment with us in terms of the rules with the federal government, but this fear on the fraud has really kind of brought the bureaucracy to almost a standstill. And I really commend Steve and his team because they're working very hard to get it moving.
Great, thank you.
And I just say that I would be if I'm sorry, you'd have to come back, but if we have had bridge funds for them, and if we haven't been able to work this out, I'm in favor of them having bridge fund once again, just to keep them going.
Yeah, I agree with that. We understand that. Okay.
Okay.
We have to make sure that there may be some providers that, for whatever reason, are not going to meet requirements, and that they don't see this as the fallback. That at the end of the day, the system that we're moving toward is a Medi-Cal system, and all providers are going to have to meet it.
Have to be certified.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
Just-
Supervisor Pine?
Thank you. Yeah, and I've spent a little time digging into this, and it's incredibly complex. This whole industry is going to be transformed, and it's going to be painful. You know, it's not going to be the same a couple years from now, but they provide great work. A quick question on the authorization process. You know, the criteria says demonstration of unmet need or service gap in the supervisorial district. Now, many of the Measure A proposals go beyond a district. Like, one thing I'm interested in supporting is the oral health study, right? And I guess that's okay. I mean, because it's not really a District 1 matter, but all right. So I think that's going to be typical with a lot of these.
Orders are seamless.
I think it's going to be typical with a number of these things. Okay, and then a couple quick questions on the continuation of the Measure A funds. You know, Raina, one thing I'd be interested in seeing, no rush on this, is could you kind of break out how much of the money in 15-16 is rollover versus newly authorized expenditures? Is that number, you know, when you look at the end of 15-16, it's 70.2 million. So there's a lot of rollover money in that column.
Correct, Supervisor Pine.
You don't have to get it all into it now, but I'd like to kind of
So
understand that.
the largest amounts to carry over are the big lift is one.
Yeah.
There's also the the North Fair Oaks general plan
okay.
implementation. Those are the two big ones.
Two big ones.
I know we had $1 million in housing, so those are the biggest ones. The amount of new Measure A for continuing initiatives was about 45 million. So the carryover estimate right now is about $25 million.
Okay, okay. In the prosperous community, yeah. So we have the big lift, and then we have an entry called Other Priorities Children's Services, which is a new initiative because it was zero last year. Is that part of big lift, or is that something separate? That's the 2.5 million in each of the fiscal years.
So that is something that is separate that we want to make available to leverage other funds. It could end up being part of Big Lift, but it needs to be matched. So it could be Big Lift and could be other children's services
It's
priorities.
my understanding that many of these items that were put on moved are for like after-school programs and before-school programs, but they're not necessarily in the districts that the Big Lift covers, and they're also not necessarily tied to the quality, the new QRS system that the Big Lift imposes. So I think at the moment we need to really explore those very carefully.
Yeah, maybe you could just summarize what are these other what type of things are in this bucket? Other priorities, children's services.
So under the Big Lift,
This is non-big lift now.
well,
Yeah.
so the Big Lift covers 4 pillars.
Right.
And one of them has to do with after-school programs. There are after-school program needs in other parts of the county, so we would take a look at the needs.
So getting into outside of some
Yeah,
of those key districts.
but I think that we want to make sure that they are of the quality
Agreed.
that we're trying to plan for the Big Lift.
Agreed. Just the 2 more points. I've spoken many times about the benefit of the HUT teams, which we've funded with Measure A, and there's a lot of demand throughout the county to add a little more, add probably one more HUT team person. The coast side between Pacific and Half Moon Bay is very stretched. San Bruno is feeling like they're not getting attention because the HUT team person's in South City. Some of the other cities have, now that HUT is getting to be well known, many people are calling and saying, geez, I'd love my own HUT team person. But I talked to and had some talks with our staff on this, and their thinking is, you don't need a dedicated HUT team in every city, but I think there's likely a need for one more HUT person. So I just put that out for consideration in the budget. And then my last comment is I see that Star Vista Daybreak program goes to 0 in fiscal 16-17. Could you speak to that?
Yes, Supervisor Pine, the Star Vista item, we will be going through the homelessness redesign, and we believe that as part of that, so the Star Vista item is for transitional housing. They have a house and they have independent living skills. So it could be that we end up continuing that, but maybe use it for different purposes if we don't need transitional housing, but maybe more rapid rehousing or some other type of housing. We're recommending to go through the homelessness redesign first to determine what the needs are, and then work with Star Vista on what those services might look like, and then come back to the board in that second year with a recommendation.
I see. So it's really going to be, as you say, considered in that broader RFP process.
So there'll be something there in the second year, but we need to make sure that the programs that they provide address the needs out of the redesign.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, I'd like to say a couple things. I have also concerns about Star Vista. I think that they have been able to demonstrate that they do a good job, especially on rehabilitation services, and so I don't want us to automatically assume that they won't continue to receive funds. And I also have I want to bring up the Samtrans, where your notes say that you've cut them from 10 million to 5 million because you understand their financial situation is better. I serve on the Samtrans board, and the financial situation is not better, really. There are some reserves, but if you go out to 17 or 18, the reserves are in deficit. Still paying off the BART debt that this county agreed to a number of years ago to bring BART to the airport into Millbrae. And so that just takes a big chunk out of their money. And this money was actually set aside for paratransit services, which, as you all know, is a federal mandated program, unfunded. No money comes along. And so I think that by eliminating an extra $5 million will once again, places the paratransit program back in jeopardy. Most of the people who take paratransit are on reduced rate. The cost of a paratransit ride is like 10 times what anyone actually pays for. So I would like to ask that we up the Samtrans back to 10 million.
Supervisor, just a correction. Yes, it's so we're maintaining it for the first year at 5 million.
It goes to 2.5 million in 16-17.
In the second year, we're recommending that it be reduced to 2.5 million.
And I'm really not in favor of that. I think that it would be a misjudgment on our part, since most of this money goes to the paratransit, and the paratransit need is actually growing. The paratransit need has not been reduced in any way.
You know, I actually did bring that up at the committee hearing, and you know, what I did do, I did go back and ask about the budget because I was concerned, and I think Carol raises a good point, because that debt service that we're paying is huge, and so we're taking $3 million out of the reserve to be able to, you know, balance the budget. And I think over time, by the year 2016-17, I do think we're already seeing an increase, which is kind of scary because we'll never be able to give everyone a ride if they actually all of them call that morning. But I do think I'd like to put it back in. If our condition gets that much better, it would be one thing, but I'm not sure that side of the house is going to get better. I think it's going to get worse in the sense that there's going to be more and more people needing a ride, and those rides are about anywhere between $40 and $50 a ride. I mean, and that's an unfunded mandate. And so I realize that's not necessarily our responsibility, but the people that we're serving with those rides are our responsibility. So I think if we end up having to cut back on that, and it's a very dicey thing to cut back on something like that, I think it's incumbent upon us to try to fill that gap. So I too would like to see us leave it at 5 million each year for the next 2 cycles. And you know, if something else passes that brings more money to transportation, you know, I'd be willing to take a look at it. But so far that doesn't seem to be happening. And I did have one other thing that I just realized I didn't bring up. One of the areas we've been talking about, obviously, are healthcare priorities, and I see that we've got Seton Medical Center support is pending. Have we heard anything more?
I believe one of the items we're talking about today in closed session is the potential land use item regarding Seton Coastside. I could brief the board probably better then.
Okay, so we're just still waiting to see what services they would be providing potentially. Okay, all right, thank you.
I just did one comment. You know, I certainly understand my colleagues' comments on Samtrans. Of course, they sit on those boards. You know, I've always been hopeful that, you know, Samtrans, as we know, because of the BART debt and because of the way we structure Caltrans, is, you know, like inherently difficult for it to be financially strong. And, you know, I'm hopeful at some point they're going to figure out a revenue stream. I don't think electrification alone is going to make it solvent. So, you know, my preference would be to revisit this at the end of the fiscal 16 and see what the situation is. But that's my opinion.
Let me reiterate, if I may, that the paratransit issue will not go away.
Right.
As this county ages, which is now like close to 20% of people in this county are really senior citizens, as we always have a responsibility for the truly disabled, and paratransit is unfunded by the federal government, even though it follows the Americans with Disability Act mandate. I just don't see it going away, and I think that we can't. This is not something I think we should defer to take a look at, because I can bring numbers to our next budget meeting on the use of paratransit, what those numbers are, and under the ADA, you are not allowed to deny a ride. And so therefore, if you have 125 requests in one day, you've got to do 125 rides.
No, paratransit's critical, and one thing I learned in looking into this is that if you can't cut paratransit separate from bus lines. They go down together.
Must follow existing routes. That is correct.
So, I mean, I think the bottom line is this money is essentially is more or less fungible, and it's helpful to Samtrans, and obviously you folks are very close to it. I just think it'd be prudent to reassess the situation in a year. That's my opinion, and because I believe it's a fungible. You know, we're helping Samtrans try to, because their financial situation isn't as great as we want it to be, and we know why, and we can't support them forever. So I'd rather relook at it.
I don't think we're helping Samtrans. I think we're
I
think we're helping the disabled people in this community, for which there's a federal law.
Can I just a quick point? As I know Santa Clara, San Francisco counties, at least I think San Francisco, but I know Santa Clara County. So I talked to Silicon Valley Leadership Found a group, and they are sponsoring a transit tax, and they would really. I mean, this is sort of a separate issue, but if Samtrans or the Joint Powers Board or Caltrain are looking at some kind of a transportation tax, probably be a good time to do it in 2016, especially if San Francisco, Santa Clara do it. You'd have I think it would really increase the chances of its potential success. That's just separate from the specific issue about whether or not we should add $2.5 million to the second year.
And Don, I appreciate that, and I think you're right. If we're going to pass something, it has to be the three counties if it's going to affect Caltrain. So, that's a big leap, but that is definitely one of the ideas going on. There's a lot of other ones.
But it may not pass, so we understand. So,
It's hard. Yeah. It's a very tough one, but nonetheless, I think what they're looking for in that funding is really more for Caltrain because it doesn't have any kind of dedicated source of funding. So, that's a whole other nut we're trying to crack. Yeah. So, anyway, I still agree with Carol. I think that would be a shame to cut that back because it's always going to be the one piece that's going to stand out in the Samtrans budget, regardless of the debt service and everything else. Because the one thing we're not able to do with Samtrans is expand a lot of our other service. We're always having to cut that back because every time we get in trouble financially, we end up having to take a lot of the bus routes away, and that's become a real issue for the community as well. So,
Mr. Fox, you want to make? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I guess I'm supportive of putting the money back in and looking at it in a year or two. But what's the process that we're going to use here and now? Are we going to decide this issue now through a motion, or are we going to look at it at budget time, or to
approve the item before you on Measure A, and then it will be incorporated into the budget. Technically, you will be approving it again when you look at the budget because it's part of the budget.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Before we make a motion, we have a public comment. Mr. Fox, please.
Very quickly, 2 points. Please direct your attention to the mental health system of care for adults paragraph on page 1 of the continuing Measure A narratives. It says performance goals have been met and continuation is recommended with an additional one-time funding for the respite center build-out. Supervisor Tissier questioned the elimination of performance measures for the respite center, made an attachment B to Measure A Oversight Committee's annual report during this board's meeting on February 24th. However, the board then voted to accept the county manager's February 9th Measure A Oversight report, including the attachment. I've attended all of the Measure A committee meetings, and the Measure A Oversight Committee has never identified the specific performance measures for the Smart Expansion Program, the Pretrial Release Program, or the Respite Center during its public proceedings in any of its public documents. Please edit the narrative to reflect Supervisor Tissier's observation and the Oversight Committee's documents. Also, please direct your attention to the Veterans Services Assessment Staffing paragraph at the bottom of page 3 and the top of page 4 of the narratives. The first sentence says there are approximately 27,000 veterans in San Mateo County. The county staff's December 9th, 2014 memorandum to the board says there are approximately 32,000 veterans in San Mateo County, and so does the document produced by the Homeless Survey Organization that the stakeholder group selected to do the survey behind closed doors last June. San Mateo County already has an unmanageable 34 boards and commissions. Please reconsider forming another one if the staff can't even agree with itself about the size of the population it's supposed to represent.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Okay, back to item 16.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to add the 22.5 million back in for the Samtrans paratransit
I'll second.
for the Measure A funds.
Okay.
Do we need to add anything about Star Vista? Or,
I think the Star Vista is subjected to the report, the assessment that's being done. But I think the minutes will show that we all think that Star Vista should be watched carefully. Okay, there's a motion on the table.
And it's the motions for the whole package, right?
Excuse me?
Motions for the whole package with
It's
that,
to,
with that
with
change.
that amendment, yes.
With that amendment.
I
A
second
second,
it.
sorry.
Second, all right.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, good. Now we're gonna go to,
Can I just make a comment
Yes.
on this, what
Yes.
Mr. Fox said? I'd like Rena to, maybe we can talk after. I think this had to do with the Oversight Committee, and I had some questions more about the performance measures and why we moved this to this, and so we've had a little bit of a discussion after that. So this didn't pertain to what we have in front of us here today. This was on the Oversight Committee. I don't know if you remember that whole chart with the, so I just want to make sure that people realize it wasn't about what's here. It was on the Measure A Oversight Committee's performance measure packet, so.
okay. Do we have pressing board member reports, or can we skip those today and go to closed session? Because we have service awards at 1:30.
Good idea.
Is that okay with everyone?
That's good.
I wanted to do Bob Sinclair. Well, that's okay. All right, that's fine, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to adjourn to closed session.
Can we do a move?
Right.
We have returned from closed session. Mr. Byers, can you report out?
Thank you, Madam President. The board met in closed session to consider 2 real property matters, and the board took no reportable final action.
Thanks, Mr. Byers. Now we will continue with board reports. Supervisor Tissier, would you like to begin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to adjourn in memory of Bob St. Clair. He was, as you know, a Hall of Fame 49er lineman. He died at the age of 84. He also played at UCSF, where he was on the famed unbeaten 1951 team. If you recall, the 51 Dawn team embodied the character and values of the University of San Francisco by taking a courageous stand against racism in the early 50s. He had an 11-year career with the 49ers. He was a very tall man, 6'9", 270 pounds, and he was really known for his toughness and also for his famous habit of eating raw meat. He was a 5-time Pro Bowl selection player, and in the early part of his career, he wore a leather helmet, and it was indicated that he broke his nose at least 6 times, played an entire quarter with a broken shoulder, and once stayed in a game after a blocked kick resulted in the loss of 5 teeth and twice had Achilles tendon surgery. So he was one tough guy. I want to just say this one fun story. He did come to the Daly City Hall of Fame. It was the first one we had. And sure enough, we're at Lake Merced Golf Course and he wanted raw meat. And everybody, there's that look on their face, no restaurant wants to serve raw meat. But sure enough, it wasn't just something you heard about. We saw it in actuality. Mr. St. Clair, he grew up in the Mission District. And he played all of his games at Keesar Stadium in his NFL career. And I just wanted to adjourn in his memory and send our best wishes to his family here in San Mateo County as well as up in Santa Rosa County, City of Santa Rosa. Thank you.
Supervisor,
Thank you.
Supervisor Pine?
I have an adjourned in memory today for Inta Hassenkamp. She passed away on April 11th. She was born in Riga in Latvia, and she came to the U.S. after World War II, having survived the German and Soviet invasions of Latvia and the bombing of Dresden, first settling in Tacoma, Washington, where she attended the College of Puget Sound. She was married to Bruce Hassenkamp, who has served with distinction on our Assessment Appeals Board. Inta was and Bruce were very fond of traveling. They had traveled to 129 countries, including Antarctica. She had a grandson, Evan, another grandchild on the way. Her son, Peter, lives locally and works for an electric car manufacturer. Professionally, Ms. Hassenkamp worked for KPIX for a number of years, but she left to become the Northern California press secretary in the 1972 Nixon re-election campaign, chaired by David Packard, and then she worked on the Houston Flournoy gubernatorial campaign as a press spokesperson. So she was really beloved in Hillsborough and really a pillar of that community, and we'll miss her.
I have a couple. I want to ask us to adjourn in memory of Sister Veronica Skillen, who served as the president of the College of Notre Dame, or Notre Dame de Demure University, from 1980 to 1994. She spent most of her career teaching. As an educator to the core, she taught and served as principals in Notre Dame schools in Santa Clara, Redwood City, Santa Barbara, Salinas, San Jose, Marysville, and Alameda. Her time at the Notre Dame de Demure was very distinguished, and she helped grow that school from a very smaller college to a very large university. And also, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Jeff Griffin. He died in Burlingame at a very young age. He was an engineer by trade and worked for many years at Dolby Labs in San Francisco. He was very active in the community, volunteered at the Burlingame Library, Hip Housing, Burlingame Bobby Sox, Brisbane Chamber of Commerce, and he was a longtime member of the San Mateo Rotary Club, and his wife and his family will miss him dearly. So with that, we are adjourned until May the 19th.